Andres Bohannon has been arrested for second-degree murder. He was arrested last month for tampering with evidence in his father's, Andre Bohannon's Prada's disappearance. The Marion County Sheriff's Office says after he initially refused to speak with deputies about his father's disappearance, while he was in jail, he said he killed his father. The Sheriff's Office said that he told detectives, quote, "I asked God a million times to allow him to kill a victim," saying he thought he was doing God's work because his father was, quote, "trying to link up with satanic people." He also told deputies specific details on how he killed his father and buried him in the backyard of their home. Bohannon is being held on no bond. So such a bizarre story there, but I thought more information to come.
Bizarre and sad. All right, well, we've been looking outside the windows here at the newsroom all day, and especially for the last few hours, we've been getting some significant amounts of rain here in Orlando, and we're starting to see some flooding impacts from that.
Yeah, but we really need the rain, just not the flooding part. So joining us now to talk about what's going on out there is meteorologist Jordan Patrick. He's got the latest. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah, so we actually do have a flood advisory for downtown Orlando right now. This is going to last for about another 40 minutes till about 3:45. So you can see that on our radar right now. That flood advisory does extend until 3:45. Notice, though, into the Polygon, most of the rainfall is out of it at this point. It's right along the 408 and Colonial Drive over towards Azalea Park and into University Park. That's where the heaviest of the shower activity is at this moment. Fortunately, though, lightning is really starting to tick down, so that storm is starting to fizzle out. Notice as we zoom out to entirety of Central Florida, not really much left over in the way of rainfall, just some leftover showers in northwestern Marion County. But that's about it, guys. But we still have to talk about tropics, too.
Right.
Okay.
So, we're 10 days into hurricane season now. We're seeing a little something out there.
Yeah, we have our first spotlit area of the season. It actually is towards the Bay of Campeche this afternoon. Fortunately, it really does not look like we're looking at any development with this, only 10% over the next 7 days. And actually what this is we're expecting the remnants of a Pacific tropical storm to be moving into the Bay of Campeche over the next couple days. And that has a small chance of reorganizing into something as we push into this weekend. And this is really the area that we watch for potential development in early June. It's what we call the Central American Gyre. It's a huge level of span across the Bay of Campeche and into the Yucatan Peninsula, and that can help to spark up some of those smaller circulations and get some of these systems going. Fortunately, though, with this system, we're not really expecting much development, but we'll keep our eyes on this area over the next couple of weeks.
That's what we do.
Always something
All right,
to
Jordan.
watch.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you
Jordan,
very much.
Thank you very much. We'll check back in with you coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Well, the 2026 World Cup kicks off in just about 24 hours, and Central Florida soccer fans getting a bit of an early taste of this action.
Yeah, they're really excited about this. England has the third best odds to win the whole thing, and they're participating in a friendly match against Costa Rica in just under an hour from now. Sports director Jamie Say joins us now live from Inter and Co Stadium ahead of this World Cup tune-up is what we're calling it. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Ginger. Hey, Matt. Yeah, this is a World Cup warm-up. I can tell you it was absolutely pouring about 40 minutes ago in downtown Orlando, but the skies are clearing. We're going to get the beautiful game today in the City Beautiful. If you can take a look here, we had so much rain in the last couple of hours, but the pitch looks absolutely fantastic for this exhibition match between England and Costa Rica. Fans have piled in here to Inter and Co Stadium to see their favorite teams as they get ready for the World Cup. England, like you guys said, is one of the favorites to win the World Cup this year. They've got the third best odds. On the other side, Costa Rica, well, they didn't qualify. They're sitting this one out just like Italy. You know, what a great venue today for this exhibition match, though, as fans start to take their seats. Guys, I was thinking, you know, Orlando was in the running to be a host for the World Cup. Obviously, we didn't get it, but imagine how chaotic and busy downtown Orlando would have been if we got it. But the World Cup, it's going to be kicking off tomorrow. Mexico is going to start us off. Team USA starts on Friday. England will not begin its World Cup run until next week. So right now, the Three Lions, as they're called, are going to get warmed up for this major soccer tournament right here at Inter and Co Stadium. Live at Inter and Co, I'm Jamie Say, News 6. Matt and Ginger, back to you.
Can't imagine the World Cup
Good to
crowds
know
there,
the drainage system is
It's
holding up
working
out there.
there. Yeah,
at
that's
Inter
for
and
sure.
Co.
Thank you,
Looking
Jamie.
good out there, Jamie. Thank you very much. Yeah, it would have been crazy if we had the World Cup and all that hype around the World Cup. really brings us to our topic of the day. We would love for you to weigh in on it. Here's a look at it as we scan that QR code on the bottom left if you're interested in weighing in. So here's the question. Which sport do you enjoy watching in person the most? Most of you are saying football with a resounding 39%. Auto racing, no surprise around here with NASCAR over at Daytona International Speedway, 23%.
Surprised basketball didn't come in higher.
Basketball, 12%, which I agree with you. As a football fan, is my main sport. That's the sport I enjoy watching the most. But man, if you go to a Magic game,
oh my gosh,
they put on a show.
So
There's
much
always T-shirts getting shot up there, or performances happening down on the floor. So definitely basketball will be one.
Yeah,
of the
it is
top
a good time for sure.
well.
Well, moving on now, a woman wrongfully accused of causing a deadly crash on I-4 is filing a federal lawsuit against the Florida Highway Patrol.
Yeah, News 6's Mark Lehman says his client was seriously harmed by all this.
The woman's attorney tells us she's been traumatized by the stress of being arrested for a crime she didn't commit. This lawsuit is now seeking damages against FHP, claiming troopers fabricated evidence.
Lindsay is frankly broken.
Less than 2 months after the arrest of Lindsay Isaacs, her attorney has filed a civil rights lawsuit claiming troopers failed to follow procedures when they wrongfully accused the 23-year-old in a deadly wrong-way crash in Volusia County.
She's suffered greatly and will continue to suffer and is in need of and receiving medical care.
The lawsuit names 2 FHP sergeants, accusing them of ignoring evidence and claiming there was damage to Isaac's car that led to her arrest after the 2022 crash that killed 3 people, including a Flagler County deputy administrator and his wife.
She's miles away when this fatality and multiple fatality and serious injury crash occurred.
Isaac spent 13 days behind bars. Charges were later dropped after a higher-level FHP review found key evidence was missed and identified Alyssa Montalvo as the suspect. Since then, Isaac's attorney has been pushing for accountability, saying his client is living with the trauma of being wrongfully accused.
Something like this just completely destroys a person's perspective on life.
Isaacs and her attorney were scheduled to meet with the state attorney general's office yesterday. As for the woman now accused in the deadly crash, Alyssa Montalvo, she remains in the Volusia County Jail without bond. Mark Lehman, News 6.
And of course, your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed sat down with Isaac's attorney this afternoon. She will have an update on that story coming up for us on News 6 at 4 o'clock.
Well, we see weird, kind of wacky stuff happen on the roads. We show it to you all the time, especially Trooper Steve likes to point those out. This one is no different, as we caught some video in the middle of an intersection. It's from Belle Isle Police. Traffic camera caught a car driving 4:30 Monday morning with 4 people sitting on the roof. Just brilliant stuff here, Ginger. They were not going slow either. Police say they were going around 40 miles an hour when they were stopped. The driver was arrested for reckless driving. The 4 people on top of the car, they got tickets for riding on the exterior of a vehicle. One of them was cited for having an open container as well, which does not shock me that maybe there were some containers involved in a situation.
That's what Trooper Steve would call a clown car, I guess, with clowns probably in it, is what he would like to say. All right, well, Central Florida's Houdini is facing more charges. This is such a bizarre and crazy story. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office says they showed up to a man's home to serve him with a felony warrant for failing to show up in court for charges of grand theft, fleeing and eluding, driving with a suspended license, super speeding, and resisting, right? So deputies found him hiding inside the air conditioner's air handler. As you see right there, they're about to pull him out.
A tight little fit.
Yeah, he was taken in and was being held on no bond. All right, so now the warrant they served him with was for charges in this incident from March. I want you to just pay attention to where they're pulling him from now. Deputies say they were following him after he drove away from a traffic stop in a stolen pickup truck. Deputies clocked the truck going 92 miles an hour in a 30. He eventually crashed the truck in a ditch, ran off, but a canine found him hiding under a house, and that's where they pulled him from. So he has I guess a fondness for small. Ooh, that dog is latched on. He has a fondness for small places, like
he likes hide and seek,
AC
Gigi.
duct, and under someone's home. That is crazy, but that dog is not letting go. And once they deploy the canine on you, just give it up.
Yeah.
It's over.
The canines are a little better at hide and seek than maybe your nieces and nephews that he's used to playing
Yeah.
with. Crazy that happened twice.
Yeah. All right, so FWC is applauding all of its teams involved in a rescue of 2 boaters in Volusia County. We were all over this story yesterday. FWC posted a screenshot of the moment its aviation officers spotted the men about 20 miles off the coast of Ormond Beach. The men had not been seen or heard from since 6 Monday morning. Turns out their boat lost power and drifted into an area offshore, and they did not have cell service. Thankfully, these guys were okay, and they were in good spirits too when our Mike Valenti talked to them. We were there at the moment their boat was towed back to New Smyrna Beach. FWC says the teams involved in this rescue included the U.S. Coast Guard, the Volusia Sheriff's Office, and Sea Tow Daytona. So congratulations to all of them for
Good
a
work.
successful, job done there.
Not easy to find folks out there. They wanted a shower and they wanted a beer.
We got
and
to follow up and see if they got both those things.
They were definitely a little pink, a little sunburnt as well after that long trip. All right, well, after the break, we're heading to the great outdoors, talking to a place that nurses injured animals back to health.
And we have a controversy going on in the cosmos, and a lot of you have something to say about it, and so do we.
Hey, welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. Glad to have you with us on this Wednesday, making our way halfway through the work week here. And our News 6 insiders, they travel all over Central Florida trying to bring you some unique angles on stories and places that sometimes wind up in our newscasts.
Yeah, that is for sure. So we want to bring in one of our special News 6 insiders. We're talking about Joey Manna. Come on over here, Joey. You recently got a chance to check out a really cool place, and we got to see some of that in action today. Tell us about it.
A few weeks ago, Kara and I went to the Avian Reconditioning Center in Apopka, Florida. And it's this really cool place where they rehabilitate birds of prey.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Falcons and eagles and owls. And today you guys met a great horned owl named Wedge.
Yes. Okay, so this is stuff that you guys shot we're seeing right now?
That is from Everyday Wild, yes.
Oh my gosh.
That was a crested Kara. I love those guys.
All right, look at that. Is that a barn owl? What is that?
That's barn owl, yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what they do. Sorry, what do
They
they
eat
do
mice.
there?
They fly.
Joe, you know I can talk to you about birds all day. Tell us what they do at this place, because it's really a cool thing. They help
So
out this
basically,
wildlife.
they were saying right now is like their busy season for barred owls and great horned owls. Basically, they get blown out of nests, they get hit by cars. There's a thing where they eat rats that have been poisoned, and it kind of travels up the food train and affects the birds.
Oh,
So they rehabilitate, they fix these birds. If they can return them to the wild, they will. If not, they become ambassador birds. And Wedge, who we met today, was an ambassador bird. He came in and he goes on trips.
Okay,
trips.
and Wedge, he's kind of a
gosh.
funny character because
Yeah.
he closes one eye because
Yes.
his
He had
injured wing
injured
hits
his
it.
Yeah, when he was little, he injured his wing, and I guess when he flaps it, just whacks him in the eye, and so he just keeps that eye closed.
It looks like he's always permanently winking
Yes.
at you. Look at
Yeah.
Wedge. Owls are so fascinating, and I thought he's all fluff because
Yeah.
he's like 2.5 pounds or something like that. What is it about these animals, Joey? When you do these stories, you get up close and personal with them.
Yeah.
What
Well, I try
is? I mean, you do, because your lens really does tell the story. What do you love about doing this?
I love anything outside in nature and birds and everything. Birds are dinosaurs, first of all, and that's
Yeah.
just automatically awesome, right? Yeah, and it's something about being outside that kind of centers you, and you're relaxed. And
Yeah.
when you're looking through your lens and they kind of let you into their world, there's
Sure.
nothing like that.
Yeah. Okay. So how can people find your show? Because you guys record a show. You do a show every
So
Wednesday.
Are We There Yet is a live streaming show we do every Wednesday. You can find us on clickorlando.com and streaming on News 6 Plus.
Good time, and you can tell by the picture they're very close.
Yeah.
All right, Joey.
We spend a little too much time
Wait,
together.
no,
Thank
we
you
love
very
your
much.
work, Joey.
All right,
you
thank
have a
you,
lot of
guys.
fans here in the newsroom. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, so yesterday, NASA made a big announcement, and I was so excited about this. The 4 astronauts taking part in the Artemis 3 mission. But one thing really stood out to a lot of people.
They're all dudes. So our social media sleuth DJ was taking a look at what people are saying about this all-male cast.
They didn't throw a woman in. Interesting. Yeah, that's Janet's response to this post on the News 6 Facebook page about NASA revealing its Artemis 3 crew. But Janet's not the only person talking about this. When NASA named its 4 astronauts, who are expected to launch into space next year, there were a lot of people scratching their heads, wondering why a woman was not part of the team. CNN's Jake Tapper even asked the crew about it on Tuesday night.
But I wonder, was it intentional not to pick women, or that's just the way the dice rolled?
No, certainly not intentional. I mean, you can look at our astronaut office and see the wide, diversity within the office, whether that's gender or background or nationality or heritage. And certainly the boss had to pick the crew for this flight that he had available, that had the skill sets that he needed.
Then NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman even followed up with this very lengthy response himself. In his statement, he says he wants to take a moment to address 2 of the questions he's been seeing since the crew announcement. One of those questions being, why are there no women assigned to Artemis 3? He says, I've seen reactions ranging from disappointment to outrage. I've personally been to space twice with 50% female crews. My closest advisors and some of the smartest engineers I know are women. He later goes on to say the crew selection does not involve any political appointees. The astronaut office assigns the crew that gives the mission the best chance of meeting its objectives. And his post on X has dozens of replies, with many people defending this decision, and a lot of people who are still just not happy with it. So what do you think about this? Go to that QR code on the screen right now. It's going to take you to our Click Orlando article, where you can read more about the NASA announcement. And while you're there, you can go to the bottom of the page and leave a comment letting us know how you feel about this crew announcement.
I just want to point out on the last crew, Artemis 2, was a woman who fixed the toilet. So
This
good
is-
luck with that, fellas.
Yeah, they better not have any toilet problems on this next
I mean,
journey.
it was disappointing, but I understand if you're in the rotation and that's the next rotation and you have the best people possible, you don't want to just stick someone in there just to balance out the sex of it.
It's
you
a
want
numbers
the best
game.
people.
There's only 4 people.
Yeah.
And so the 4 best You know,
I get
maybe
it.
the next one will have 3 women or 4 women. Who knows?
That
how
would,
it'll work
an
out.
all-woman crew would be phenomenal. We'd get things done up there. All right, coming up after the break, how new action in the Middle East is impacting prices at the gas pump.
Plus, the pet food recall. A lot of you will want to know about. That's coming up after this.
I'm News 6 anchor Amy Russo. A pet food recall impacting nearly 24 states. But first, we want to talk about those gas prices. Let's get right over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. Maribel, the up and down prices, are they just going to continue?
Okay, Amy, global oil prices are back above $90 a barrel after escalating strikes between the U.S. and Iran. Now, the U.S. says it acted in self-defense rather after an American Apache helicopter was shot down near the Strait of Hormuz Tuesday. Brent crude is once again trading above U.S. oil, but AAA puts the national average for a gallon of unleaded at about $4.15. That's down about a dime from last week. We'll take a week at that, Amy.
All right, we'll definitely take that. And Maribel, the pet food recall, it all has to do with a potentially low level of an uncertain vitamin. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the FDA expanding this list of recalled pet food across nearly 24 states, including in Florida. Now, the product was sold online. Officials say certain freeze-dried and frozen products made by Go Raw contain insufficient levels of critical nutrients. And over time, pets could develop life-threatening conditions. The brands are Steve's Real Food and Quest and involve several flavors and batch numbers. Full recall details are on the FDA's website. So, Amy, an important alert for pet owners.
Definitely check your pet food now. Thanks so much, Maribel. Remember, for the latest money and consumer news anytime, you can head to our website, clickorlando.com.
All right, still to come, one local community is pushing back against getting rid of some of those property taxes, what they want voters to know before people head to the ballot box. Let's come on. All right, welcome back. History could be made on the stock market later this week as SpaceX has its big, long-awaited IPO. We're talking numbers that we've never even thought about before in an IPO.
Yeah,
this is crazy stuff, and it's kind of understandable. The hype, I think a lot of investors, somebody asked me a few years ago, what's one stock you wish you could invest in? And I was saying, SpaceX is, not SpaceX, but Starlink in particular.
Mm-hmm.
You could take that little branch of internet satellites all around the world. This is Donovan Myrie, by the way, and he does our dollars and cents. He's our money guy. So this IPO is a big deal. Tell us why.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. It is pretty much going to be the biggest IPO ever to date. Today, okay?
Yeah, until next week.
Ever today, okay. Right. So what are we talking about? Talking about SpaceX. Initial public offering is set for Friday, June 12th, okay? It is basically, they're looking at, I don't know, 555 million shares, okay? Right now, they think the IPO is going to be priced at about $135 a share. Mm-hmm. The actual price will actually be set tomorrow night on Thursday night, okay? And SpaceX is hoping to raise about $75 billion through the IPO. You talked about Starlink, right?
Yeah.
Look at these three companies, all right? What do we got? We have SpaceX, we have Starlink, and what's that company?
That's XAI over there.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand or don't know that SpaceX actually isn't one company, it's three companies, okay? It is the guys who put stuff up in space, people as well as satellites and supplies. It is Starlink, that's we talked about this before. Starlink, it's the money, isn't it?
That's where the money is.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
where the money is.
A lot of people want Starlink, and so they have to,
They gotta get the whole
buy
thing.
these other things they might not want as much as the Starlink.
Right, and then you have XAI, which is fairly new. A lot of people missed that SpaceX and XAI merged earlier this year. Here's what CBS Business News analyst Jill Schlesinger has to say about this.
If you look at SpaceX and you say, wow, this is a company that's targeting a valuation of $1.8 trillion, and that is happening even though they're unprofitable, it tells you that there are a lot of investors out there who are paying up for potential growth.
Yeah, and pretty much it's that potential growth. As Jill said, $1.8 trillion valuation. That is a lot of money. And basically, like I said before, they're looking at an IPO targeting $75 billion. The record up until now, $25 billion. And that was Saudi Aramco back in 2019.
The other thing is Elon Musk, once this happens, he's going to be closing in closer to $1 trillion of net worth for himself once this IPO hits.
Right. And one thing, we talked, there was a small bite there from Jill. I have a piece later on at 5 o'clock where she goes into a lot of different things, including you may end up owning a bunch of SpaceX and not even buying SpaceX.
Whether you tried to or not. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Catch that at 5.
Good stuff. Donovan, thank you so much. Appreciate your insight. Let's head back over to Ginger. She's talking about property taxes in Florida.
Yeah, while you guys are talking about a story that is going to be known worldwide, this is one of the biggest stories happening in Florida. Property taxes, as Matt just mentioned. Cities and counties start to plan on a future without that source of income available to them. Now, supporters say homeowners deserve that break and governments are spending way too much money. News 6's Ashley Garrett shows us how leaders in Windermere say voters need to know what's really at stake.
Here in Windermere, the town is planning to reach out directly to legislators in Tallahassee. Your property taxes could be done away with when you vote this coming November. Tuesday, the town of Windermere doing its part to promote awareness. The town council here in Windermere says they'd like to be able to provide a financial structure, but they say at this point there's still so much up in the air that they're not able to do so.
In this bill, they discuss core services that will be protected. What are those core services? There's not a definition for this. So in our town, we pretty much have everything as our core services.
Town council had a vote to approve a two-part letter being sent to legislators in Tallahassee. One letter written by the town manager, the other by town council. The letter reads in part, quote, "The costs of providing local government services do not disappear if property taxes are reduced or eliminated. Essential services must still be funded, employees must still be paid, infrastructure must still be maintained, and public safety responsibilities must still be met."
Our police department, our fire services, definitely protected. I don't know what everything else is going to look like.
The letter goes on to read, quote, "The critical question is not whether local services will be funded, but how they will be funded and whether those alternative sources will be sufficient, reliable, equitable, and locally controlled." Tuesday, the vote to approve the two-part letter and educational workshops for the public to understand the possibilities should property taxes be cut passed unanimously. In Windermere, Ashley Garrett, News 6.
Well, a Winter Garden police sergeant is off the job today, facing charges after he was accused of stalking a woman.
Yeah, as News 6's Mark Lehman tells us, he was even tracking her car.
The officer in this was placed on administrative leave with pay pending the outcome of the investigation and internal review. His arrest is connected to allegations that happened outside a bowling alley in Apopka. Winter Garden Police Sergeant Brian Stubbs was arrested on charges of stalking and unauthorized law enforcement database access. According to Apopka Police, in April, a witness saw Stubbs tampering with the vehicle of an employee at the bowling alley who Stubbs knew. An officer searched the car, but initially didn't discover anything. Later, a mechanic found a tracking device attached to the vehicle. In an interview with officers, Stubbs said he was, quote, pranking a friend. The alleged victim, however, said she had concerns for her safety. According to the arrest report, Stubbs told her, quote, I was attempting to put something on your car. Now, following the arrest, Winter Garden Police Chief Steve Graham issued a statement saying, in part, the allegations are concerning and do not reflect the standards we expect of our personnel. We take matters of this nature seriously and will fully cooperate with the Apopka Police Department as its investigation continues. As Chief went on to say his department is committed to accountability and transparency. Stubbs, meanwhile, was initially held without bond following his arrest. Mark Lehman, News 6.
All right, your Orange County community correspondent, Tylisa Hampton, is digging some more into that story. She's going to have that coming up for you later this evening.
All right, well, after some discussion, Central Florida's largest school district will not be changing their grading system. We talked and debated this all day yesterday. The Orange County School Board decided not to change its 50% grading policy that would have allowed students to receive zeros on individual assignments, including homework and even tests. It would have to keep a 50% floor on report card and final grades. Students cannot receive below 50% on anything. Now, some of the board said the change would promote accountability and address concerns. Some students are passing classes despite not even completing assignments. But more board members said kids are going through a lot right now. And a number of students are dealing with housing insecurity. That is a big deal.
That is a problem.
That is a problem.
This is true, but then all the kids get a bit of a pass on this. So, and I think this pairs pretty well with our next story.
Yep.
Okay, some new federal testing data shows math scores are down lower than they were even a decade ago.
Since the 70s, right?
Yes. It's been a long time since our kids' math scores were this low. So the National Assessment of Educational Progress found math performance among 9 and 13-year-olds lags behind levels prior to 2012. Education officials say the findings suggest the problem goes beyond the COVID-related learning loss that we all talk about. The report found a little improvement among 13-year-olds, with some of the lowest performing students scoring at levels similar to their peers in the early 1970s.
Wow.
The 70s, 50 years ago. Researchers warn the trend could have long-term consequences. Some estimating today's students could earn less over their lifetimes because of their weaker academic skill sets. Experts say the results underscore the need for renewed focus on math achievement, particularly during those middle school years. And I wonder if some of the kids are saying, well, AI is going to do that for me anyway when I'm in the workforce, so I won't have to know all of that stuff.
Oh, you're going to have to know. Trust
have to know
me.
something.
AI at some point can't do it all.
Right.
All right. Did you ever see that movie, Catch Me If You Can? It starred Leonardo DiCaprio with that pilot that got away with everything. So if not, this next story will tell you everything that you need to know about it if you didn't see it. A former Air Canada pilot is accused of flying massive jets for 17 years without even having a license or the right license to do it. Apparently, he had a license to fly commercial jets, but didn't have a separate license needed to fly planes with passengers. Nonetheless, he piloted 900 planes with passengers on board during his career. Air Canada says Wall, that's his name, passed all the mandatory training every pilot goes through twice a year to validate their flying competency, but a routine check of his credentials finally revealed that those credentials were fake. He also apparently filed a fake police report claiming his credentials were stolen. So he retired before the investigation began. That was back in January. It's all about timing here. And get this, the pilot had a salary of more than $2 million per year.
Wait, what?
That was his salary.
I didn't know pilots made that kind of cash.
Well, he did, and that's why he was flying everybody everywhere, even though he wasn't supposed to.
He doesn't need to fly anymore. He can retire pretty easily.
Right, he's gone.
Probably, if
He's done. That
$2
is
million a year.
crazy to me.
That is a wild story. This next pilot for sure had his license because
a good one.
He was doing some crazy. This was pretty much a miracle if you watch it. So take a look. This was a seaplane with engine trouble. Had to make an emergency landing on a road in Phoenix, Arizona last month. So as it approaches, you will see all sorts of obstacles, utility lines, traffic lights. Fortunately, there weren't many cars around as the pilot manages to dodge all of it. Watch it. Here's the critical part, right? He goes under that light, doesn't hit anybody, doesn't hurt anyone. A Phoenix Fire spokesman said this was pretty much a miracle. And the 3 people inside were not hurt. They were able to get out of the plane just fine on their own. But what are we talking?
On a wing and a
foot?
prayer.
A
is
wing
what happened.
and a prayer.
That's what that was.
That is, yes,
My
a plain
goodness.
prayer right
Yeah.
there. Crazy.
All right, well, we've got to check your forecast with meteorologist Jordan Patrick after the break.
Plus, the proposed new school that has a certain area split. We'll talk about that coming up.
Your Wednesday evening traffic alert. I've got lane closures all over the Florida Turnpike, north and southbound. So wherever you're at, just make sure you're paying attention, whether you're in Lake County or in Osceola. Then that ramp shut down northbound 417, right around the 1-2 mile marker as you're trying to cut through this community of Celebration. Where am I talking about? I-4 eastbound, that ramp that kind of exits out there. There'll be detours present overnight, as that purple always means it's shut down. I-4 east and westbound between 528 Sand Lake, we already know. Absolute mess with construction. And then 417 I-4 out in the Seminole County area. We've been seeing some slowdowns out here towards the 50-52 mile marker on 417 and even in the Heathrow area off of International Parkway. So just make sure we're cautious as we're driving. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely and I'll catch you in the morning.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
All right, welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. Look at this picture. This is our city cam courtesy of our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. And because of those dark clouds you see there looming, the soccer game that you saw Sports Director Jamie Say talk about at Inter and Co Stadium has been delayed until 5 o'clock today. And for good reason. Meteorologist Jordan Patrick joins me now. that really does tell the tale of what's happening out there.
Well, and also this does too, because we actually did just see our flood advisory expire over downtown Orlando, which is where the stadium is. But in and of itself, we still had about 3 inches of rainfall falling over the stadium, and that's just not going to go anywhere immediately. So there's definitely still some ponding on the roadways, definitely some chaotic messes towards the stadium. So that's why they did delay that. It's not really surprising, but that flood advisory did expire, so we are seeing drier conditions out there. But over towards University Park, just south to the 408, we are seeing some heavy showers and downpours. That's pretty much it, though. We zoom out for most of Central Florida, most of us on the drier side of things. However, our in-house model is still showing that we could see some more of those scattered showers along the sea breeze, especially towards I-75 later this afternoon, say around 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening. So the evening drive on 75 could be on the wet side of things. But sun goes down, we start to dry things out. We lose that energy from the atmosphere, from the sun. So we'll be nice and quiet overnight tonight. However, it will be very humid tonight because of those showers that we saw. So when you're taking the dog out for a walk, just keep that in mind. It's not going to be a fun walk for you. But tomorrow morning, very similar story. We start out on the dry side, a lot more cloud cover tomorrow morning, very similar to what we saw the past couple of days because of that lingering moisture. So if you are taking Rambo, and you know I have a Frenchie. So I had to show Rambo. I had to represent. Rambo's going to get wet over the next couple hours if you do want to take him out with temperatures into the upper 80s. So you might want to wait till the sun goes down around 8 to 8:30 before you start to walk the dogs. That's when I think those showers are really going to fade, and we'll get down to the 70s overnight tonight. Pushing into tomorrow, once again, we get more of those scattered showers and thunderstorms developing right around noon along I-4, then slowly pushing towards I-75. Very similar to what we saw today. However, I do think coverage tomorrow is going to be a little bit higher than what we saw today. So we'll do about 50% tomorrow with highs into the low 90s. We bumped that up to 60 through the weekend, Ginger. So I hope you have a movie marathon planned.
Oh, done. Say less. Say less. That's not a problem
it's a really
at all.
good excuse to stay on the couch.
Yeah. I don't need an excuse, Jordan. I don't need one at all. Okay, so, it was raining sideways outside of our window earlier today, and I was like, let me look at my app, because that thing tracks everything. And sure enough, right over us at that time.
And you also saw the flood advisory on that too. So the great thing about our weather app, just search WKMG in the App Store, is it tracks the weather, severe weather and any advisories that are in your location, and it sends you an automatic push alert. So you'll know exactly what's going on outside your door every single time. You can download it, just search WKMG in your App Store.
This field here behind me in West Orange County could soon be home to an expansion of Windermere Preparatory School. With the current campus at full capacity, this project is driven by demand, and there are some wondering what all of this will mean for the community.
All in favor? Aye.
Orange County's Development Review Committee recommending approval of plans to build a K-5 private school in West Orange's Hamlin community. The area off of New Independence Parkway is one of the fastest growing in the county.
It's been a lot of growth in a short period of time, and eventually they'll have the roads able to meet the capacity.
The concept is a 2-story building able to accommodate up to 880 students. The layout includes sports fields and outdoor learning spaces as an expansion of Windermere Prep, which is about 5 miles away.
Do you think something like this is needed for the area?
Absolutely, because there are a lot of people that aren't happy with the schools that their kids are in. So this way it's an option.
The new campus is also expected to bring an increase in traffic to an already busy area. The design, however, includes an on-site car line to avoid backups.
I have an elementary school up the block from my home, and you learn when to leave the house and when not to, but it's a necessary evil.
With the committee recommending approval, this proposal will next go before the Board of County Commissioners. That is expected to happen in August. With permitting, however, construction likely won't begin for several months. In Orange County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
All right, we're going to continue with the school theme. Did you two ever commit any senior pranks?
No.
Oh, no. I saw some, but I
Okay.
didn't commit
You're still
any.
claiming to be innocent.
I had nothing,
Yes.
I had nothing to do with it.
Well, someone glued nearly 200 doors at a San Diego high school shut by filling the keyholes with glue.
Okay, that's property damage.
Yeah, that's
right.
terrible.
So even now, 2 weeks later, some keys still will not slide into the locks. It's believed the suspect acted alone and was on campus for a good 2 hours. Rumors swirling around the school is that it was done as a senior prank, but detectives are not sure yet if the suspect is a student.
It is typical to see senior pranks, but those are more lighthearted, funny, more clever, but nothing to this extreme of damaging over $70,000 worth of property.
Wow. Well, it took a while, but teachers were able to get into enough classrooms to make sure everything still went as planned that day, including finals. I'm trying to see where that is. My sister is actually a teacher in San Diego, but she never mentioned anything like this.
Okay,
she didn't get locked out of class.
No, she's a gym teacher, PE teacher. So, yeah.
Okay.
What happened to a good old-fashioned TPing or egging?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody put a stink
This is next
bomb
level.
in the air conditioner.
Oh.
So it kind of stunk
That
up the
could
place
really
for a while.
cause some
But
problems.
didn't hurt anybody.
I
or
want to be
anything,
locked out
No.
then.
All right, after the break, the animal ban in one Central Florida city that has one woman crying foul.
A Castleberry woman's fight to keep her 4 backyard hens has city leaders thinking about changing the rules. I'm News 6's Alex Cook. After a code violation, that woman took her case here to City Hall. Now, commissioners are looking at whether backyard hens should be allowed. Lindsay Feist says she's had 4 hens in her Castleberry backyard for years. They provide eggs, and her kids have learned to care for them. She thought she was complying with Seminole County's code.
I did talk to a lot of neighbors who adamantly told me that chickens were allowed. I've spoken with commissioners in the past who were under that same impression that there's no rules in the city of Castleberry prohibiting it.
But last Tuesday, a city worker drove by her backyard and noticed the coop. Code enforcement posted this notice on her door, saying she's in violation of city code and had 10 days to remove the birds.
My 15-year-old son brought me the notice, and he was very emotional and very nervous.
Supporters point out Castleberry is one of several Seminole County cities still working out this issue. Unincorporated Seminole County allows 4 hens, and nearby Longwood has its own backyard chicken program. But Castleberry says those rules only apply to unincorporated areas, meaning chickens aren't allowed within city limits. I checked in with Castleberry city manager who says that for now, these hens are in violation of Castleberry city code. But he said the commission will take the issue up possibly as early as June 22nd and look at the rules then. Feist says that the commissioners told her they will not enforce a ban until they've had a chance to look at this issue. Feist also took her fight public, with supporters signing this petition urging the city to update its code.
We're not asking for special treatment. We would just like some clear regulations that everyone understands and can abide by.
Feist's next door neighbors say the hens are quiet and they appreciate the free eggs.
Anything that we could do to as a society to become more self-sustaining, I think should be encouraged.
For now, Feist and her family are waiting to see whether or not these 4 hens will get to keep calling this backyard home. In Castleberry, Alex Cook, News 6.
I mean, that's the key. You can't give all your neighbors eggs because then you won't have any. But
unless
still,
you have more hens.
I don't think that might be the solution,
Yes.
but not what they're looking for.
No.
All right. News 6 at 4 is coming up next.
Yeah, coming up, 10 years after Pulse, many people still have questions about where all the money that was raised for the One Pulse Foundation actually went. News 6 investigator Erica Bragulio is working to get answers. She's going to have that report coming up after the break.
We're tracking scattered showers and thunderstorms across central Florida, but your rain chances will actually be going up heading into the weekend. I'll have your full forecast.
I'm Jana Manahall in the Timber Springs community. Neighbors now demanding changes for their safety after a bullet went through a kitchen window.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
We start off News 6 at 4 with breaking news. 2 girls who were cuffed in the back of a deputy's cruiser laughing and joking around. You probably remember that video. Well, today we learned one of those teens is now facing new charges in a separate case.
15-year-old Isabel Valdez is currently in the Seminole County Jail after investigators say she and another classmate plotted to stab another student at Lake Brantley High School. News 6 investigator Erica Berguglio is live in the newsroom now with what the new charges she's facing.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement says it arrested Isabel Valdez on 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. Agents started their investigation in February after they say Altamont Springs police reported a digital file found on the 15-year-old cell phone showing the sexual abuse of children. Now, this is 1 month after Valdez was arrested for that alleged murder plot you guys were just talking about. FDLE says it found several video files showing the sexual abuse of children, some as young as 3 years old. We are requesting this affidavit from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, but right now Valdez remains in the Seminole County Jail. We will continue to stay on top of this. Back to you.
All right, Erica, thank you. We do want to take a live look now over downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam. What a difference a few hours can make, but a soccer match scheduled to start at 4 o'clock right now has been delayed until 5 p.m. at Inter&Co Stadium because of all the rain we had earlier this afternoon. The seating area just reopened inside the stadium, and that wet weather is not done yet. Meteorologist Jordan Patrick joins us now with what's going on. Jordan?
Well, guys, we are actually starting to see drier conditions out towards the stadium this afternoon, but we did have a flood advisory over the stadium till about 15 minutes ago, and about 3 inches of rainfall fell over the stadium. So because of that, they did have to postpone the game for another hour as they were dealing with some standing water out there. But right now, mostly dry conditions towards the city of Orlando, but still some lingering showers over Altamont Springs and into Apopka and into Goldenrod, Winter Park, and down towards the 408. Still some lingering light rainfall, but much drier conditions than what we saw just a couple of hours ago. And things will continue to slowly wind down as we enter the early evening hours. But right now, as we stare out towards downtown Orlando, still hanging on to that cloud cover, but drier conditions. Temperatures rain cooled into the low 80s this afternoon. We are going to keep some scattered showers around till about sunset, 8 o'clock tonight. And then overnight tonight will be on the drier side of things. But rain chances, Ginger and Lisa, actually increasing as we head towards the weekend. We'll talk more about the reason why coming up in a few.
We definitely need it. Thank you, Jordan. Now to terrifying moments for a family. They say a bullet went through their kitchen window.
This happened in the Timber Springs neighborhood. That's part of Avalon Park. And now people are calling for more security. Our Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal spoke with neighbors who heard the shots.
It was very instant, like back to back, like pop, pop, pop.
Neighbors say the sound of gunshots rang out here in a Timber Springs community around 11 p.m. on Tuesday. If you take a look at your screen here, you'll see the bullet that the homeowner found inside his home after it broke through his kitchen window. He told me it almost hit his wife, who walked past the window just moments before. The homeowners did not want to speak on camera and have requested privacy. But their next door neighbor, Cesar Ayala, says what happened next left the whole neighborhood shaken and demanding change.
He came downstairs because the alarm triggered, because the window was broken. He realized it was a bullet that went through the window and to his kitchen and hit the backsplash.
Ayala believes that this is where the shots originated from around this pond area behind the homes. I have reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to confirm if this is where the shots were fired from.
Casings where you see those 3 palm trees in that area, there's no lighting in that area. So one of the things I was telling is that we need more police presence.
Both Ayala and McRae, as well as other neighbors, have expressed concerns about this palm tree area. So I've reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to see if they're investigating this spot and if they're considering adding any patrol to the area. And you have emailed your HOA?
I did email this morning and they haven't replied back.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office tells me this case is currently under investigation. I have also reached out to the Timber Springs Homeowners Association to see what their next steps are to guaranteeing safety for their community. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jada Manahalal, News 6.
Well, News 6 is speaking with the woman who was wrongfully arrested in a deadly hit-and-run crash on I-4. Lindsay Isaacs tells us that she is now pushing the state to make some changes so this doesn't happen to anyone again. We first told you yesterday Isaacs is also suing 2 troopers because she spent 2 weeks in jail for a crime she did not commit. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed spoke with the woman about moving forward.
Lindsay Isaacs and her attorney just got back here to Volusia County from Tallahassee, where they met with the state's attorney general and several of the top leaders from the state highway patrol. Now, they tell me they requested this meeting right after she was freed, and I met them back here right when they got home. They tell me that they want to fight for anybody wrongfully arrested going forward.
My mugshot is everywhere for the rest of my life. Anytime someone searches my name, it will come up.
2 weeks spent in jail for a crime this 23-year-old did not commit.
There was maggots and ants in the food. Every time the tray came, there was something living in that tray every single day.
Her treatment in Volusia County's jail is just one of the reasons Lindsay Isaacs and her attorney Patrick McGeehan want the state's top law enforcement leaders to hear her story. The other, to push them for change in their investigative methods.
Both the Attorney General and particularly the Colonel from the FHP informed me that they are looking at policies and procedures to put in place to make sure this does not happen again.
Troopers accused Isaacs of driving the Dodge Durango that caused the crash on I-4 near DeBary back in October. 3 people were killed. Isaacs spent 13 days in jail and 2 weeks out on bond before FHP dropped her charges. Troopers then arrested the woman they say was really behind the wheel of a different Dodge Durango.
You know, it could have happened to anyone leaving to go to the grocery store.
Isaacs also filed a lawsuit this week. Her complaint named Sergeant Tiffany Jatef and Sergeant Joshua Boudet, alleging they, quote, fabricated evidence of vehicle damage, swore to false statements in an affidavit for an arrest warrant, and at a bond pretrial detention hearing.
It'll take a lot of time and therapy, but I will never get over the fact that this happened to me.
I reached out to the State Highway Patrol and was told, quote, the department is reviewing all aspects of the case. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
The man accused of fatally shooting another man outside of an Orlando nightclub earlier this year is no longer facing charges. The Orange Osceola State Attorney says that they will not be filing charges against Jean Gabriel Borgia Gil de la Madra. Now, court records show a judge ruled prosecutors could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt use of force was not justified in February. Investigators say that de la Madra and 33-year-old Julian Cruz got into a fight outside of the Savoy nightclub. During that argument, he shot Cruz, who later died at the hospital. His attorneys argued the shooting was in self-defense.
Marion County deputies now say a son is accused of killing his dad and is facing a murder charge. 25-year-old Andres Bahayman was initially arrested for tampering with evidence. During a new interview at the Marion County Jail, deputies say he confessed to killing his dad, 43-year-old Andres Bahayman Prada. The investigation first started last month when the family reported the father missing. Deputies say they searched the family's Dunellen property and they found human remains in a freshly dug up area of the backyard. The son is now charged with second-degree murder. He remains in jail on no bond.
A Winter Garden police sergeant appeared before a judge today after investigators say he placed a tracking device on a woman's car. He's accused of accessing the woman's personal information 26 times through a law enforcement database. Today, a judge set his bond for $17,000. He is faced with multiple charges, including stalking and illegally using a tracking device. Winter Garden police say that he has been placed on administrative leave. Coming up at 5, Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton digs deeper into how the woman was alerted to this tracking device and what police warn you should do if you think you're being tracked. That's on News 6 at 5 o'clock.
For years, drivers in Pine Hills had to navigate construction cones, lane shifts, and traffic delays along one of the community's busiest roads. And now a major milestone has been reached. Orange County has completed a project that not only improved the roadway, but also saved dozens of homeowners from costly septic tank replacements. News 6's Darrell Baker shows us the transformation and what is still left to do.
Business and homeowners along Pine Hills Road would have had to spend thousands of dollars to replace their aging septic tanks, but Orange County converted 95 of those properties to sewer at no cost to property owners.
Compare the cost of doing that versus the contribution to our septic to sewer program, they're much better off. The contribution is lower than the actual cost to replace their septic tanks, and the maintenance is about the same.
Andres Sancido with Orange County Utilities says that many of the septic tanks in the area were decades old and approaching failure. Replacing just one could have cost homeowners around $26,000. But now they don't have to worry about raw sewage leaking into their yards. If you take a drive down Pine Hills Road, you'll see something many drivers thought would take forever to happen: the end of years of construction.
You do still see some of those cones, but it's different compared to all the machines and those concrete barriers you saw all along the roadway, even last year.
For years, drivers navigating Pine Hills Road dealt with delays, lane shifts, and construction zones. Now many are finally seeing the payoff.
There's a planning phase that took place, and then there was the growing pains where the project actually began to shape up, and now we're at the point where it is completed.
In Pine Hills, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
10 years after Pulse, questions remain about the One Pulse Foundation.
If somebody wants to go after them, have at it, but we're very focused on making sure that we continue to support the families and the survivors and get the memorial done.
Where did more than $20 million go, and what the tax filings show for that foundation? That's coming up.
Plus, our Florida foodie is giving us an inside look at a must-try Vietnamese restaurant.
Ginger and I will have reservations for that this weekend. Well, you're going to want to have that reservation indoors this weekend because we're tracking scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, but rain chances increasing for your weekend. We'll talk about your forecast coming up.
You're watching News 6 at 4 as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by True Deals Realty.
What's up, foodies? This week, we're eating a 24-hour broth and other Vietnamese favorites at Pho Bar. Pho is my #1 comfort food. If I'm sick, if I've had a long week, and at Pho Bar in Orlando's Mills 50 district, comfort is kind of the whole point, but they do it with serious tradition.
We serve unapologetic Vietnamese food.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
and we share the culture through that way. So whatever we eat at home, we cook and we share it out here to the community.
But the reason we're here is the pho, because Pho Bar is known for a broth that takes its sweet time.
At first, we wash the bone, we wash all the meat, cook it, simmer down for 24 hours. We have shallot, onion, and ginger in here. After that, we put the pho spice. We have cinnamon, star anise, cardamom.
And when the bowl hits the table, I have one rule. My rule with pho is I always try the broth first, because that is the real determiner of if a place is legit or not. Sometimes you go to a pho place and you taste the broth and it's like, it's not that deep. You need that deep, rich flavor that you only get from making it for like 24 hours. I tried the short rib pho. Rich broth, tender beef falling off that giant bone. I was expecting a little bit more resistance on that bite, I'm not gonna lie, but that literally just shredded right off. And those bouncy noodles that hold up in the soup. Those noodles have great texture. And then I tried the house special, loaded with cuts like brisket and tripe plus meatball. A bowl that really shows you how traditional and resourceful Vietnamese cooking can be. This is the lining of a cow's stomach, indeed, yep. It's just soaking up that delicious pho broth flavor. The texture is unlike anything I've ever had in my life. I wonder what the inside of our stomach looks like. And that wasn't even everything I ate. If you want to see my full review, just go to clickorlando.com/insider. See you on the next bite, foodies.
Yum. She does not include the inside of our stomachs in her full review. That looked really good. And this is a great day to have some comfort food. You sit on the couch. It's kind of dreary outside. Meteorologist Jordan Patrick joins us now with a look at what's going on out there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of scattered showers and thunderstorms earlier this afternoon. Starting to see a bit of a reprieve from them, though. You can see it towards Port Canaveral this afternoon through our Launch Credit Union camera. More sunshine starting to peek through those clouds, especially along the coastline this afternoon. Temperatures rain cool, though. We're into the upper 70s towards the Space Coast this afternoon, also with an onshore breeze. That sea breeze is pushing those shower chances inland towards 75. But right now, we're still watching some lingering showers, especially over towards Winter Park and to the Goldenrod area. That's about it, though. We're pretty much on the dry side of things for now, although I am going to keep that scattered shower chance in line till about sunset this evening, as we still have that sea breeze pushing inland to help bubble up some of those thunderstorms. You'll notice our in-house model showing more of those scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two popping up around 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon along the I-75 corridor. So if you do have that evening commute along I-75, just keep in mind you might have to track some of those showers using our WKMG weather app. Be sure to have that on your phone. It'll track those storms for you in real time. Now, moving into this evening, once the sun goes down, we lose that energy from the sun. Those showers have nothing to sustain themselves. So after about 9 o'clock, we fizzle those showers out. We have a nice dry evening in store for us. However, we'll be very humid because of the showers that we saw earlier this afternoon, with some lingering cloud cover as we start the day off tomorrow, but nice and dry for your Thursday morning. So Rambo, he needs a walk. And I have a friend, she said we got to support Rambo once again. Temperatures into the upper 80s right now into the early evening hours for those places that did not receive any showers. So keep in mind, you might want to wait till the sun goes down to take Rambo for a walk, especially because we'll still be dancing around some of those scattered showers overnight. After 9 p.m., they do start to fade, though, with those temperatures dropping down to the mid-70s. Pushing into your Thursday, very similar to what we saw today, right around lunchtime, boom, we get another bubble up of those scattered showers along the sea breeze. A west coast sea breeze right along I-75, east coast sea breeze right around I-4 around lunchtime. Those will start to collide together between I-4 and I-75 right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be the strongest of the thunderstorm activity between 3 and 6 o'clock tomorrow. And very similar to today, once we see that sunset, they all fizzle out as they lose the energy, and we'll see a dry Thursday evening into your Friday. Rain chances, though, are going to continue to bubble up into your Friday as well, as we do expect more moisture to start to surge into Central Florida. So you notice 50% chance tomorrow, 60 Friday through Sunday, and we linger that into early next week. As upstairs in the atmosphere, we do still have a decent amount of moisture, I should say, all thanks to this bubbling up low that we've been tracking with the National Hurricane Center. That's surging more of that tropical moisture into the Gulf of Mexico. Some of that is getting wrapped around this area of high pressure into Florida. And on the flip side, there's a weak cold front expecting to move in to the southeast by Friday and into early parts of the weekend. That's going to sandwich that moisture right over Central Florida. So we bump up those rain chances to 60% Friday through Sunday. High temperatures into the low 90s. But guys, those feels like temperatures into the triple digits at this point. So if the kiddos are heading off to summer camp, or you have any outdoor plans this weekend, yard work, what have you, be sure to stay well hydrated, because it definitely is hot out there.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Jordan, thank you. We are tracking all the changes to the governor's property tax cut plan.
It could get challenged in the Florida Supreme Court, and it probably will. But if the Florida Supreme Court says it's confusing, it doesn't go off the ballot. It goes back to the Attorney General to rewrite it.
Everything you need to know about who's fighting it, who gets the final say, and what you're really voting for come November. As the governor's property tax cut plan makes its way toward the November ballot, more critics are sounding the alarm.
While some changes have been made to the initial proposal, there are a few key details voters should know about who and what could see the most impact.
First, several cities and counties flat out don't want property tax breaks.
Windermere is going to be sending a letter out. You've seen Ocoee, you've seen Sanford, you've seen every one of these counties starting to look at their books and say, this is going to be devastating.
The threat of losing millions in tax revenue over a proposed $250,000 homestead exemption, it's forcing local leaders to ask questions about future economic stability. We're talking long after they're out of office. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, this is just going to hurt us today. They're thinking, what about the things that happen that we haven't even accounted for? Now, some revisions have been made to safeguard critical infrastructure that we all need to run local government. For example,
fire, EMS, police, that's all protected. Schools protected. Well, so now you start protecting all of these. What do you have left?
Yeah. But is what's left over enough to float Florida for years to come?
Some grants for the arts you can get rid of. You could axe your parks department. That's not enough money.
Yeah. A few other key changes you should know: that homestead exemption, it'll now be capped at $250,000 to account for inflation. And to qualify for that exemption, lawmakers added a 5-year residency requirement, hoping to keep people in the Sunshine State.
And with property taxes on the November ballot, local towns, cities, and counties are looking at what that means for you.
Leaders in one town say there is a big catch, and they are now warning Tallahassee. Plus,
our chief astronaut right now called us all into the office and said, hey, take a look around. This is the Artemis 3 crew.
we are hearing from the astronauts who will be on NASA's next moon mission. They shared their reaction when they first learned they were selected.
The city of Orlando is working to build a permanent Pulse memorial.
But what happened to the money raised by the defunct One Pulse Foundation? I'm going through the records coming up.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now.
We start with a new discovery about one of the teens charged in that failed attempt to kill a fellow classmate at Lake Brantley High School. We're now learning 15-year-old Isabel Valdez is facing new charges in a separate case. She is now being charged with 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. FDLE says it has found several video files on the teen's phone showing the sexual abuse of children, with some of the victims as young as 3 years old. She remains in the Seminole County Jail. Neighbors in the Avalon Park community are now calling for more security and police presence after they say multiple shots were fired last night. One homeowner in Timber Springs spoke with News 6 and tells us a bullet flew right through his window, barely missing his wife. We've reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Timber Springs HOA. And the woman wrongfully arrested in a deadly hit-and-run crash on I-4 is speaking with News 6. Lindsay Isaacs tells us that she's embarrassed. Her mugshot will be everywhere for the rest of her life. She spent 2 weeks in jail and is now suing the FHP state troopers who arrested her. She's also pushing for state lawmakers to make some changes so this never happens to anyone else.
Since the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub, recently News 6 held a town hall with local stakeholders to reflect on what's changed since the shooting. We asked our viewers to join the conversation, and several of you asked about the money raised by the defunct One Pulse Foundation. News 6 investigator Erica Bergoglio looks into where the money went.
The One Pulse Foundation plans to build a permanent memorial here on Pulse nightclub property, as well as a museum along Cayley Street. But in 2023, the nonprofit dissolved.
What happened, in my opinion, is they got too grandiose in what they wanted to do with having a museum as well as a memorial. If they had been focused simply on getting a memorial done, they probably could have got that done.
The city of Orlando has taken over the project, buying the nightclub property for $2 million to build a permanent memorial. But what happened to the money One Pulse brought in? According to tax documents found on ProPublica's website, One Pulse generated more than $20 million over the years it was in existence. More than $11 million was spent to build a permanent museum and memorial. Orange County gave the One Pulse Foundation $3.5 million tourist tax development dollars to buy this property along Cayley Street for a museum. It also gave $3 million for design services. This property was given to the county. That design services money is gone. The foundation also received a nearly $400,000 grant from the state of Florida. That money was returned. According to this 2023 tax filing, all grants still held by One Pulse were returned following the dissolution. The organization owed more than $500,000, mostly a mortgage and unpaid bills. So One Pulse reported zero assets at year end.
Just as I moved on from the shooter, and he's nothing to me, I moved on from that organization. Somebody wants to go after them, have at it, but we're very focused on making sure that we continue to support the families and the survivors and get the memorial done.
The city of Orlando's permanent memorial is expected to be finished next year. Erica Bergoglio, News 6.
News 6 asked the Florida Department of State if it investigated or audited the One Pulse Foundation. The agency did not find any records related to our request. Well, the weekend of Pulse was a tragic time in Orlando. Today also marks 10 years since rising star Christina Grimmie was killed at Plaza Live in Orlando.
Yeah, after her performance, police say a man shot Grimmie at a meet and greet, killing her in front of her brother, Marcus Grimmie. Officers say Marcus tackled the shooter, and the man then killed himself during the struggle. First responders took the singer to the hospital where she died. Grimmie finished in third place during the season 6 of The Voice. She was discovered on YouTube. Now, before the shooting, the singer posted a video on social media encouraging fans to attend the concert.
With voters set to decide on approving the biggest property tax cut in modern Florida history, several local towns, cities, and counties are working to figure out what that would mean for you, and that includes Windermere. News 6's Ashley Garrett shares what leaders there had to say.
Here in Windermere, the town is planning to reach out directly to legislators in Tallahassee.
Your property taxes could be done away with when you vote this coming November. Tuesday, the town of Windermere doing its part to promote awareness.
The town council here in Windermere says they'd like to be able to provide a financial structure, but they say at this point there's still so much up in the air that they're not able to do so.
In this bill, they discuss core services that will be protected. What are those core services? There's not a definition for this. So in our town, we pretty much have everything as our core services.
Town council had a vote to approve a two-part letter being sent to legislators in Tallahassee. One letter written by the town manager, the other by town council. The letter reads in part, quote, "The costs of providing local government services do not disappear if property taxes are reduced or eliminated. Essential services must still be funded, employees must still be paid, infrastructure must still be maintained, and public safety responsibilities must still be met."
Our police department, our fire services, definitely protected. I don't know what everything else is going to look like.
The letter goes on to read, quote, "The critical question is not whether local services will be funded, but how they will be funded and whether those alternative sources will be sufficient, reliable, equitable, and locally controlled." Tuesday, the vote to approve the two-part letter and educational workshops for the public to understand the possibilities should property taxes be cut passed unanimously.
In Windermere, Ashley Garrett, News 6.
President Trump has signed a reconciliation package that secures funding for his immigration agenda. The president inked the Secure America Act after it passed the House and Senate along party lines. Republicans used the reconciliation process bypassing the standard 60-vote filibuster threshold to get it over the finish line without any Democratic support. The nearly $70 billion bill fully funds ICE and Customs and Border Protection through the end of President Trump's term.
The bill provides crucial funding for domestic law enforcement investigations and combating child exploitation, continuing our work to restore law and order across our nation.
Its passage ends a months-long stalemate over immigration enforcement that shut down parts of the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats were looking to put restraints on ICE following the deaths of 2 American citizens in Minneapolis earlier this year at the hands of federal agents.
Well, we now know the 4 astronauts who are training for NASA's next space mission. You see them right there. 3 Americans and 1 Italian will be aboard the Artemis 3, set to launch next year. This mission is part of NASA's preparation for a lunar landing in 2028. Mark Schrossman sat down with the crew. He joins us from the Johnson Space Center.
One more round of applause for your Artemis 3 prime crew.
Meet the new crew for Artemis 3, 3 American astronauts and 1 Italian. Artemis 2 Commander Reed Wiseman had a gift for Artemis 3 Commander Randy Bresnik, nickname Comrade.
The Artemis 2 crew, Comrade, hands you the baton. You got the controls.
Artemis 3's mission will never go near the moon, will never even leave Earth's orbit. Its roughly 2-week mission will practice maneuvering and docking with 2 lunar landers, one designed and built by SpaceX, the other by Blue Origin. None of that space hardware is ready.
I think the most challenging part will be getting our lunar landers developed and in space for us to be there at the same time.
We sat down with Commander Bresnik, pilot Luca Parmitano, and mission specialists Frank Rubio and Andre Douglas.
Are you confident that one of them, ideally both of them, will have their hardware together in time for your mission to happen next year?
Certainly, we have every hope, and we have everybody working and rowing in the same direction. And so if it comes to the point that they are not quite ready, then we will adapt.
They told us how they first heard NASA had selected them for this mission.
Our chief astronaut right now called us all into the office and said, "Hey, take a look around. This is the Artemis 3 crew." And moment of stunned silence, followed by lots of hugs and lots of elation and a huge honor.
Andre Douglas is the crew's only space rookie.
You've wanted this for a long time.
Yes, I have, since I was 7, so 33 years. And I said it today, I was like, my brain is still processing this. But again, my heart feels full.
Artemis 3 has its crew, now it just needs all that space hardware. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin have had rocket issues. Their very different lunar landers are still in development, and NASA wants this crew in orbit, their mission underway sometime next year. Mark Schrossman, CBS News, Houston.
A new warning for Social Security. A government report says the trust fund could take a major hit soon.
What it could mean for retirees' paychecks, that's coming up. Plus,
not asking for special treatment. We would just like some clear regulations that everyone understands and can abide by.
a family fighting to keep their backyard chickens. Their county allows it, but it turns out their city does not. Jordan.
And Ginger, we're tracking scattered downpours, especially right along the turnpike into Osceola County, but rain chances on the rise as we head towards the weekend. And part of the reason why is what the NHC is spotlighting in the Bay of Campeche. We'll put it all together in a full forecast right after the break.
All right, and before we head to break, there's much more to watch on News 6 Plus. Get caught up on Central Florida's news and weather at a time that works for you, 9 o'clock every night. Or go on patrol with Trooper Steve. Get clear on Florida politics and celebrate the best of Central Florida with the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all now. Just get the News 6 Plus app loaded onto your smart TV. You can download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Original Mattress Factory.
A Castleberry woman's fight to keep her 4 backyard hens has city leaders thinking about changing the rules. I'm News 6's Alex Cook. After a code violation, that woman took her case here to City Hall. Now, commissioners are looking at whether backyard hens should be allowed. Lindsay Feist said she's had 4 hens in her Castleberry backyard for years. They provide eggs, and her kids have learned to care for them. she thought she was complying with Seminole County's code.
I did talk to a lot of neighbors who adamantly told me that chickens were allowed. I've spoken with commissioners in the past who were under that same impression that there's no rules in the city of Castleberry prohibiting it.
But last Tuesday, a city worker drove by her backyard and noticed the coop. Code enforcement posted this notice on her door, saying she's in violation of city code and had 10 days to remove the birds.
My 15-year-old son brought me the notice, and he was very emotional and very nervous.
Supporters point out Castleberry is one of several Seminole County cities still working out this issue. Unincorporated Seminole County allows 4 hens, and nearby Longwood has its own backyard chicken program. But Castleberry says those rules only apply to unincorporated areas, meaning chickens aren't allowed within city limits. I checked in with Castleberry's city manager, who says that for now, these hens are in violation of Castleberry city code. But he said the commission will take the issue up, possibly as early as June 22nd, and look at the rules then. Feist says that the commissioners told her they will not enforce a ban until they've had a chance to look at this issue. Feist also took her fight public, with supporters signing this petition urging the city to update its code.
We're not asking for special treatment. We would just like some clear regulations that everyone understands and can abide by.
Feist's next-door neighbors say the hens are quiet and they appreciate the free eggs.
Anything that we could do to, as a society to become more self-sustaining, I think should be encouraged.
For now, Feist and her family are waiting to see whether or not these 4 hens will get to keep calling this backyard home. In Castleberry, Alex Cook, News 6.
Well, her chickens and her backyard look beautiful.
They really do.
Yeah, right now, at least 9 local cities do allow backyard chickens.
Yeah, it was just last week we told you about Edgewater taking a step toward becoming the 10th.
I get probably at least 5 or 6 messages a year saying, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to have chickens.
June 1st, commissioners took a first vote on allowing 5 hens on lots less than half an acre. It's a breakdown of 7 hens if you have a half acre or larger. No roosters at all. A second vote will come at a future commission meeting.
All right, we want to check in now with meteorologist Jordan Patrick. If you were in Orange County this afternoon, you likely experienced some heavy downpours. Things are starting to clear up a bit, though.
Yeah, I definitely got caught in that driving into work this afternoon. There was a hefty downpour over downtown Orlando. In fact, we actually did have a flood advisory issued for the stadium, which postponed the soccer game for an hour because of that rainfall. About 3 inches fell in Orlando earlier this afternoon. Fortunately, though, right now, staring out towards our radar, we are sweeping nice and dry towards downtown Orlando, but into Osceola County, right over the turnpike, we're still seeing some moderate to heavy rainfall and even some lightning strikes as well. So still some energy in our atmosphere with our sea breeze, which is pushing towards the west. So you notice over towards Lakeland up into Day City and Spring Hill, some hefty downpours and thunderstorms across central Florida to the west coast near I-75. And I think that's where the action is going to be as we push towards the rest of this afternoon. So if you are around I-4 at this point, I think we're mainly dry, and you can see that, especially over towards I-95 and the coastline through our Launch Credit Union camera. Still seeing those showers and storms towards the west, which is where this camera is facing, but drier towards the beaches this afternoon. Rain cooled 79 degrees, though, where the Cape Canaveral did get some showers earlier this afternoon. If you are in a dry area and you want to walk Teresa, which is actually Trooper Steve's dog, Trooper Steve's going to be dodging those showers for the next couple hours, especially towards I-75. But if you're in around I-4, we should be on the dry side of things. We're going to be into the mid-80s, though, until sunset. So you'll want to wait a little bit to walk the dogs. It's a little bit cooler for them. Notice our in-house model still showing that possibility for those scattered showers and storms towards I-75 till about sunset. Then we fizzle them out. They lose that energy from the sun. They really don't have anything to sustain themselves at that point. So overnight tonight into your Thursday morning commute, we are on the dry side, but you'll notice some mostly cloudy skies tomorrow morning, very similar to what we've seen the past couple days because of all the moisture from the showers that we've seen. And in fact, Ginger and Lisa, we're going to be upping those rain chances over the next few days up to 50% for tomorrow, 60 Friday through the weekend, as we're expecting more moisture to start to make its way into central Florida, courtesy of what's going on into the tropics. We'll talk about that in just a second, but those afternoon scattered showers and storms along the sea breeze are going to be into central Florida, not just tomorrow, but also into your Friday as well with elevated coverage. So walking you through this hour by hour, those storms start popping up right around lunchtime around I-4 with the East Coast sea breeze and then West Coast sea breeze near I-75. They're going to collide right around 4 to 5 o'clock between I-4 and I-75 and dance around Central Florida through the afternoon, drying things out past that with a similar story pushing into your Friday. Dry start on Friday, and then we'll start to get some of the scattered showers developing near I-4 right around lunchtime, lingering till about the evening drive. Now, we still have plenty of moisture in play, but pushing into the second half of the week, as this area the NHC is spotlighting moves into the southern Gulf of Mexico, that's going to drag a little bit more of that Caribbean moisture into the Gulf of Mexico, giving it a chance to be pushed into Central Florida. So we'll bump up those rain chances to 60% through the weekend with those temperatures into the low 90s. And guys, it's going to be a steamy one with those feels like temperatures near 100.
I know, but I want that rain. All right, thank you, Jordan. Open your camera app, scan the QR code on your screen right now, and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos and your pet pictures too. They could end up on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way. Well, if you or someone you know counts on Social Security, pay very close attention.
And new numbers show a deadline fast approaching for the trust fund. How big the shortfall could be and what you can do now, that's next. As we take a live look at Mount Dora, you're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, snuffing out smoking along a popular lake, the city considering a big change, all in the name of public health.
Plus the technology being used to keep people safe at Florida's World Cup games. We'll see you at News 6 Morning starting at 5.
I can really appreciate this question. I found myself getting tired while driving. What is the right way to stop if I needed a quick power nap? I love that you guys are asking this stuff. So if your eyes are getting heavy on the drive home, here's your permission slip. you're not tougher than sleep. Florida doesn't have a specific law when it comes to, let's say, driving drowsy, but the state does recognize that fatigue can impair your ability behind the wheel, much like alcohol can. In fact, under the Ronche-Dugans Act, Florida specifically educates drivers on the dangers of drowsy driving because the consequences can be deadly. So if you need that quick 20 to 30-minute power nap, don't pull onto the shoulder of an interstate and turn your car into a motel room, all right? The shoulder is for emergencies, disabled vehicles, and people who truly have no other option. Instead, find a well-lit rest area, a safe parking lot, or a place where you're legally allowed to stop. And if you're in a business parking lot, my suggestion, over-communicate a little bit. Let someone know, hey, I'm exhausted. I'm going to close my eyes for like 20 minutes and then get back on the road. Because arriving 30 minutes late is a whole lot better than arriving at all. Trust me, nobody has bragged about winning an argument with their eyelids. And if you have a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, just head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
Now to a warning for those who rely on Social Security. It may be at risk of drying up.
More than 62 million Americans receive benefits from the fund, but a new government analysis says in just 6 years, it will only have enough money to pay 78% of its scheduled benefits. That would trigger across-the-board cuts to all retirees and other recipients of about 22% if Congress fails to act.
They can actually increase the amount of money on which FICA taxes are paid. That's the wage base. It can go from about $184,000. We could lift it to, say, $300,000. I know, not going to make a lot of people happy, but we have to pay for the system.
Analysts say lawmakers could also increase payroll taxes slightly to help prevent cuts to benefits or gradually raise the full retirement age beyond 67 years old.
News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
Who needs to retire anyway, right? Just wait until 67. Thank you, ladies. Well, traffic troubles may soon get some high-tech help. AI is now being used to track bottlenecks across Central Florida with the help of cutting down on that commute time. Coming up, how the technology works and the changes drivers could soon see on some of our busiest roads.
More money, less service. I'm Catherine Silver in Seminole County, where commissioners are pushing back against links. We'll explain why.
And your forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this look at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll be right back.
Breaking now at 5. The Lake Brantley teen accused in a murder plot is now facing child porn possession charges. We're live with what comes next as the teen stays behind bars. And a bullet tears through a family's home in East Orange County, and neighbors say it could have ended much worse.
It was very instant, like back to back, like pop, pop, pop.
What they're now calling for from law enforcement. Plus,
I'm Molly Reed in Volusia County, where we are speaking to the woman wrongfully arrested after a deadly hit-and-run crash here in Volusia County. Why she is now meeting with the state's attorney general and the top highway patrol leaders to fight for change.
You're watching News 6 at 5.
And we're staying on top of breaking news at 5. A teen accused of plotting to kill her classmate now facing more charges. This time, she's accused of having videos showing the sexual abuse of children.
15-year-old Isabel Valdez is already in the Seminole County Jail, accused of plotting to stab one of her classmates at Lake Brantley High School. News 6 investigator Erica Bragulio is live in the newsroom with these new charges. Erica.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement arrested Isabel Valdez on 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. The FDLE started its investigation in February, 1 month after that 15-year-old was arrested for the alleged murder plot. The agency says Altamont Springs police reported a file on the teen's cell phone showing the sexual abuse of children. FDLE says it found several video files showing the sexual abuse of children, some as young as 3 years old. Now, just weeks ago, Valdez wrote a letter to the judge in that murder plot case asking for sympathy. In the letter obtained by News 6, the teen writes, quote, "I'm very remorseful for my actions," and that, quote, "the internet made me a horrible person." Valdez remains in the Seminole County Jail. We requested documents related to these new charges. As soon as we learn more information, we will let you know. Matt?
Just awful details there, Erica. So where does the attempted murder case stand now?
So Valdez, along with the other teen, Lois Lippert, are being charged as adults in this initial case where they are accused of plotting to murder that classmate. Back in March, a judge ruled there was too much of a danger for them to be released on bond. So they've both been in jail since their arrests. We checked. Valdez is due back in court in 2 weeks. Lisa?
All right, Erica, thank you. We do want to take a live look now from our Light Orlando camera in downtown Orlando. This is facing Inter and Coast Stadium. A big game is starting right now after being delayed by an hour because of the heavy showers we saw pouring down this afternoon.
Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas has some more on those storms, which are maybe not finished with us yet.
Yeah, most of these are now back outside of Central Florida, closer towards Lakeland into the Tampa region, and are on the drier side throughout a lot of Central Florida, with the exception in Osceola County tonight. We do have some rock and thunderstorms pretty much right over the turnpike in between Kissimmee and St. Cloud, just southwest of Lake Toho tonight. We have a few lighter showers just on the northern side of Marion County, north of the Ocala National Forest. We're on the drier side, as we were talking about yesterday. Now, at least once we've now gotten into the afternoon and evening, right along the I-95 corridor. I think what we'll expect over the next hour or so is for storms to build pretty much north and south, where you see this storm just to the east of Spring Hill, and then they'll try to nudge back to the east a little bit. So I think we're pretty much done in Orange County for the match, but nonetheless, we're going to be watching things advance from west to east as we go forward into the evening. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about with the high resolution future radar coming up at about 5:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. A Winter Garden police sergeant is facing serious criminal charges after investigators say he placed a tracking device on a woman's car and accessed her personal information through a state database. Your West Orange County community correspondent Talisa Hampton has more on the allegations and how police say the device was eventually discovered.
What started out as a claim of a prank quickly turned into a criminal investigation after a woman said that she found a tracking device on her car believed to be placed by a Winter Garden police sergeant.
Tell me your name, please.
Brian Stubbs.
Standing before a judge, Winter Garden Police Sergeant Brian Stubbs is facing stalking charges, accused of placing a tracking device on a woman's car.
Where probable cause was found.
According to an arrest report obtained by News 6, a witness saw Stubbs appear to tamper with the woman's car outside an Apopka bowling alley in April. At the time, Stubbs told officers he was playing a prank on a friend. The woman told investigators the two had been friends for years and that Stubbs had expressed romantic interest in her, which she did not return. Days later, she received alerts on her phone that a tracking device was moving with her. Ocoee police warned not to ignore the alerts.
If you do get an alert of an AirTag on your car, don't panic. Drive to your destination, wherever you're going. Call us if you need us. We'll come out. We'll look at the situation. We'll gather all the relevant information, and we'll go from there.
Searches were done on the victim's car by both Apopka and Ocoee police, but nothing was found.
Still can't find anything. Maybe we can go to a mechanic. We've done that in the past.
In this case, that is where a mechanic discovered a magnetic tracking device hidden under the car. The shop told me it was attached to the lower control arm and would have been difficult to find. Investigators say Stubbs later changed his story, still denying that he actually put the device on the car, but saying he attempted to do so out of jealousy. Detectives also found he accessed the woman's personal information 26 times through a state database. That led to charges of stalking, illegally using a tracking device, and fraud and abuse of a computer access. Stubbs remaining expressionless as a judge set his bond at more than $17,000. Winter Garden police say he has been placed on administrative leave. Reporting for News 6, I'm Tylisa Hampton.
All right, thank you, Tylisa. And tonight, this case also putting a spotlight on Florida's tougher laws targeting the misuse of AirTags and other tracking devices. A law that took effect last October increased penalties for people who use those Bluetooth trackers to stalk or follow someone while committing serious crimes. So that includes things like kidnapping, robbery, sexual battery, and aggravated assault. Lawmakers say the goal is to crack down before cases turn violent. Under the law, using a tracking device during a serious felony can carry a penalty of up to 15 years in prison. Even basic stalking with a tracker is now a felony in Florida.
Now at 5, a family in East Orange County is counting their blessings after a bullet came crashing through their kitchen window. Neighbors in the Timber Springs community in Avalon Park say they heard multiple gunshots late last night, and the homeowner says the bullet missed his wife by just moments. Your Orange County community correspondent Gina Manahalal spoke with people who live there who are now demanding more security and police presence.
It was very instant, like back to back, like pop, pop, pop.
Neighbors say the sound of gunshots rang out here in a Timber Springs community around 11 p.m. on Tuesday. If you take a look at your screen here, you'll see the bullet that the homeowner found inside his home after it broke through his kitchen window. He told me it almost hit his wife, who walked past the window just moments before. The homeowners did not want to speak on camera and have requested privacy. But their next door neighbor, Cesar Ayala, says what happened next left the whole neighborhood shaken and demanding change.
He came downstairs because the alarm triggered, because the window was broken. He realized it was a bullet that went through the window and to his kitchen and hit the backsplash. Casings where you see those 3 palm trees in that area, there's no lighting in that area. So one of the things I was telling is that we need more police presence.
Ayala and other neighbors have expressed concern about this palm tree area behind their homes. I reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to see if they're looking into this area and if they're looking to add extra patrols to the surrounding neighborhoods. In an email response, they said that they are looking into the area of the palm trees, but have not found anything yet. In terms of extra patrols, they will be adding patrols to the area. Residents should understand that just because they don't see a marked car doesn't mean that deputies won't be in the area. The last thing Orange County Sheriff's Office tells residents that is if they see something concerning in the area, they are urged to call 911 or contact their non-emergency line and request to speak to a deputy. They say that's because if things are reported anonymously here and deputies come out and find nothing, there's no real way of keeping track. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
Thank you, Jana. Well, tonight News 6 is speaking with a woman wrongfully arrested by troopers in a deadly hit-and-run crash on I-4.
We told you yesterday how Lindsay Isaacs is suing the Highway Patrol after being jailed for 2 weeks in a crime she did not commit. Now she tells us she's also pushing the state to make changes so this does not happen again. Your Volusia County reporter Molly Reed spoke with Isaacs about moving forward.
Lindsay Isaacs and her attorney just got back here to Volusia County from Tallahassee, where they met with the state's attorney general and several of the top leaders from the state highway patrol. Now, they tell me they requested this meeting right after she was freed, and I met them back here right when they got home. They tell me that they want to fight for anybody wrongfully arrested going forward.
My mugshot is everywhere for the rest of my life. Anytime someone searches my name, it will come up.
2 weeks spent in jail for a crime this 23-year-old did not commit.
There was maggots and ants in the food. Every time the tray came, there was something living in that tray every single day.
Her treatment in Volusia County's jail is just one of the reasons Lindsay Isaacs and her attorney Patrick McGeehan want the state's top law enforcement leaders to hear her story. The other, to push them for change in their investigative methods.
Both the Attorney General and particularly the Colonel from the FHP informed me that they are looking at policies and procedures to put in place to make sure this does not happen again.
Troopers accused Isaacs of driving the Dodge Durango that caused the crash on I-4 near DeBerry back in October. 3 people were killed. Isaacs spent 13 days in jail and 2 weeks out on bond before FHP let her free. Troopers then arrested the woman they say was really behind the wheel of a different Dodge Durango. Isaacs' attorney says they proved based on location and time Isaacs couldn't have been at the scene when the crash happened.
It could have happened to anyone leaving to go to the grocery store.
Isaacs also filed a lawsuit this week. Her complaint named Sergeant Tiffany Jatef and Sergeant Joshua Boudet, alleging they, quote, fabricated evidence of vehicle damage, swore to false statements in an affidavit for an arrest warrant, and at a bond pretrial detention hearing.
It'll take a lot of time and therapy, but I will never get over the fact that this happened to me.
I reached out to the State Highway Patrol and was told, quote, the department is reviewing all aspects of the case. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Well, Seminole County leaders are sounding off on Lynx, calling the transit system broken as costs continue to climb.
I was a supporter of yours. I am not in that position anymore.
Tonight, why taxpayers could be paying more for Lynx next year, even after bus routes were cut.
You're watching News 6 at 5. Here's a live look at Port Canaveral from our Launch Credit Union camera. There are some storms out there on the southern part of our viewing area. We'll be right back.
Despite a drastic reduction in bus routes, the cost of Lynx is going up in Seminole County next year. A drop in ridership, underperforming routes, and concerns about growing costs in the future drove Seminole County to launch their own service called Scout.
And now, skyrocketing transit costs and shifting funding have the county pushing back against Lynx even more. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, explains.
The Lynx model is a broken model. That's my opinion.
I was a supporter of yours. I am not in that position anymore.
Commissioners in Seminole County didn't hold back when presented with Lynx's $11.7 million budget request. The bottom line, the overall cost to the county is going up. $119,000 in 2027, even though most bus routes have been cut. By Lynx's numbers, the majority of the money they need next year will be spent on Access Lynx, the paratransit service for riders with disabilities or special needs.
Total operating costs increased $2.58 million in fiscal year 2019 to $6.71 million in fiscal year 2026. That's an increase of over 160% in 7 years.
Commissioner Jay Zembauer pushed back on the paratransit cost in particular.
Can you explain why are we rapidly going in that direction when Seminole County's ridership is actually going down on the paratransit side?
Commissioner, I will do my best to answer. I don't have those numbers specifically in front of me.
Lynx's CEO does say the cost increase is tied to a change in Lynx's funding model, which is tied to a regional partnership.
We are this piece that is attached to that model, and maybe we've outgrown it.
Chairman Andrea Herr says the shift is a reaction to Seminole's switch to Scout. Does this have you question Seminole County's role and partnership with Lynx overall moving forward?
Everything makes me question everything. I'm one commissioner speaking not on behalf of the board, but for myself, in that if we can't have influence over the cost that our citizens pay for that model, I do have questions.
Lynx logged 2.8 million passenger trips in Seminole County last year.
We use it about every day.
Bernard Arrington's trip Wednesday was to a doctor's appointment. What would you do if Lynx wasn't in Seminole County?
It would be very hard to get around.
We reached out to Lynx directly, and they tell us they do understand Seminole County's concerns. They point out that Lynx's board unanimously approved the change to the funding model, and they did so to better distribute the costs. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Well, it was a soggy day at many of those bus stops, and we still have some rain out there, Jonathan?
Just a little bit, yeah. Some bigger thunderstorms, though, in parts of Osceola County. Again, the storms were few and far between today, but where they were, certainly some very heavy rain. We'll take you back into Osceola County, closer to the Turnpike. A couple of thunderstorms, really. The lightning even kind of winding down with these, but still some very heavy rain on the south side of Lake Toho, back onto the central part of, right into downtown St. Cloud, at least the heaviest rain south of the downtown area. Southport, good evening. Watching some heavy rain. We are dry in Point Siena right now, but you see the very healthy downpour just toward our south. We'll turn the loop on here for you to show you exactly the motion that these are going. And there's not a lot of wind in the atmosphere today, so the steering flow is not pushing these guys around at all. That's why we were able to see so much heavy rain in the areas where we saw the thunderstorms this afternoon. You see the lightning winding down with this. We also, just off the Turnpike, northwest of Yeehaw Junction, this is slowly trying to meander back in our direction. The heaviest rain there just off the Turnpike, so good news if you have to head on the Florida Turnpike tonight. Otherwise, the biggest stuff that we have on the radar right now is mainly into Polk County, closer to Lakeland, and then back up towards the northern side, on the western side of I-75. So Bushnell, Lake Panasoffkee, Nobleton will be watching for you guys over the next couple of hours. I am expecting more thunderstorms to develop right around the Spring Hill area, kind of split just towards the north, and then slide back to the east. So really everybody to the west side of Orlando, back to Claremont, Leesburg, and the Villages, I'll be watching for storms to kind of build back over the next couple of hours. And they will pack a punch with some heavy rain. Had a real nasty downpour and thunderstorm over the Orlando metro area in central Orange County over the last couple of hours. This was earlier in the afternoon. Was able to pick up anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain in that very short amount of time. Certainly had some ponding on the roadways. That's what we're dealing with across parts of Osceola County right now, where we have those thunderstorms. And again, that's pretty much half of what we had all so far this year, just shy of 7 inches of rain. Typically, we're at about 16.5 inches of rain at the Orlando International Airport. So as we all know, it has been dry, but we are running way ahead of schedule in the interior side of Central Florida. There's 6 to 7 o'clock this evening, and here's what I'm talking about. There's that kind of flare-up of thunderstorms late this evening. That's 8 to 9 o'clock. Those storms try to push back to the east a little bit and then fizzle out. A lot of the energy kind of zapped from the atmosphere from the thunderstorms that we did have earlier this afternoon. There's 3 to 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We'll do the same kind of thing. A few more storms bubbling back up I-95. Then there's I-75. And then kind of coming together through the evening. That's 5 to 6 o'clock. Still having some thunderstorms around by 7 to 8 o'clock for us as we move forward into the afternoon. Highs tomorrow back in the lower 90s. Rain chances up a smidge back to 50%. Today was at 40% for comparison. And then over the next few days, scattered thunderstorms continue to rise, at least a chance for them. 60% chance on Friday. We'll keep that 60% shot for storms right on through your weekend. Staying a little toasty, and the humidity is back with air temperatures back in the low to mid 90s for the week ahead.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, SpaceX is about to take off on Wall Street, and your retirement account could be along for the ride. That's whether you like it or not.
Coming up, the new index rule change that could slip SpaceX into millions of 401ks in just weeks.
SpaceX is going public Friday in what could become the largest initial public offering in U.S. history. So, why is Wall Street making such a big deal about a rocket company? The answer is simple. SpaceX isn't just a rocket company. Most people know SpaceX for launching rockets, astronauts, and satellites into space. But investors see three different businesses under one roof. First, there's the launch business, which has made SpaceX the dominant player in commercial space flight. Second, there's Starlink, the company's satellite internet network, which generates recurring monthly revenue for millions of customers around the world. And third, there's artificial intelligence. After merging with xAI earlier this year, SpaceX is now investing heavily in data centers and AI infrastructure. That's a big reason why SpaceX is seeking a valuation of about $1.75 trillion. Analysts believe the IPO could raise as much as $75 billion, nearly 3 times the current record. And the impact could go far beyond Wall Street. Millions of Americans may eventually own SpaceX through their 401ks, IRAs, and index funds if the company is later added to major stock indexes.
SpaceX may soon be available inside your retirement account. Last month, the NASDAQ and the Russell indexes announced that they were making rule and methodology changes, which would allow SpaceX to be included in its indexes.
For investors, this IPO really isn't a bet on rockets. It's a bet that SpaceX can dominate 3 industries many believe will shape the future. Beginning Friday, Wall Street and ordinary investors will decide whether that vision is worth trillions of dollars. For more information about SpaceX and a deeper dive into the economics of initial public offerings, head on over to clickorlando.com/dollars and cents for dollars and cents. I'm Donovan Myrie.
That is a lot of money for an IPO. Well, summer travel plans under attack from inflation.
Coming up, how much more you will pay to fly, drive, and put dinner on the table. And the key warning sign economists are watching that could hit your paycheck even harder than those high prices. Plus,
the city of Orlando is working to build a permanent Pulse memorial. But what happened to the money raised by the defunct One Pulse Foundation? I'm going through the records coming up.
And here's a live look at Daytona Beach. Nice looking out there at the moment. Some of you got some pretty heavy rain at times today. You're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
And I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now. 15-year-old Isabel Valdez, the Lake Brantley teen in jail accused of a murder plot of another student, facing new charges tonight in a separate case. She's now being charged with 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. FDLE says it's found several video files on her phone showing the sexual abuse of children, with some of the victims as young as 3 years old. This comes just a month after she wrote a letter to a judge asking to be released from jail.
A Winter Garden police sergeant is accused of secretly tracking a woman using a magnetic device hidden under her car. Investigators say Sergeant Brian Stubbs also accessed the woman's personal information through a state database more than 24 times. Today, he faced a judge who set his bond at $17,000. Stubbs' charges include stalking and illegally using a tracking device. He is on administrative leave.
Well, a bullet crashes through a window of an Orange County home, nearly hitting the woman inside. Neighbors in the Timber Springs community of Avalon Park say they heard multiple gunshots late last night. Homeowners found the bullet in their kitchen after it shattered a window. People who live there now calling for more lighting and extra patrols in the area as the sheriff's office investigates. Well, this week marks a somber one here for us in Central Florida.
Friday will be 10 years since the tragedy at Pulse nightclub. I sat down one-on-one with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer to ask him about the lessons learned and the changes that have been made since then. What about the changes that have taken place since Pulse, in terms of law enforcement?
I would say the biggest changes is joint operations in terms of training between fire and police. Knowing that they're going to respond together is probably the biggest difference that I've seen in terms of that. The other aspect is mental health.
Sometimes I just can't sleep at all, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
First responders and everybody else involved being willing to admit that they need some help.
The reality was I needed some help and I didn't want to admit it. 10
years ago, a lot of the police officers were still in that mode of I'm a big, strong police officer and I don't need somebody to check in on my feelings, and there's a lot more support for that now.
We just hosted a town hall at News 6 and we invited in members of the community.
There is so much that could be said regarding the code enforcement and the structure of the building.
Were there any investigations into code violations, and has that changed at all in the 10 years since this?
So we looked at that. The FBI did a separate investigation, and there are no public safety code violations that in any way hampered anything on that evening. There's been a lot of rumors related to that, but there's no substance to that.
We talked briefly about the unity that our community experienced. I think at that time there was a lot of conversation that there would be change to some of the hate that not just our community but the whole world experiences. Do you feel 10 years later we are in a better place?
As you mentioned, the entire world supported Orlando, supported those victims. I must have had 200 or 300 text mails or voice messages from mayors around the country, and you saw everything you can think of lit up in rainbow colors after that. And as we've been going through the memorial process, the families have expressed that they feel that support.
And coming up tomorrow, the permanent Pulse Memorial construction still has yet to begin. We will have more with the mayor on where that stands.
New at 5 now, a drunk driver accused of barreling through the Ironman Jacksonville race course, nearly hitting runners and cyclists, is now facing multiple felony charges after a chaotic police chase was caught on camera.
Oh, he broke it.
Yeah, pretty crazy here. Jacksonville police say 62-year-old Daryl Simon drove through active bike and run courses during the Ironman triathlon. This put athletes and spectators in danger. Dash cam video shows officers trying repeatedly to stop this car, and it came dangerously close to people on the course.
That's it. Gotta stop this guy. He's gonna kill someone.
Police eventually used a pit maneuver to stop the driver, take him into custody. Thankfully, no athletes or spectators were hurt. Investigators say this was Simon's third DUI arrest in the last 10 years.
Today marks 10 years since rising star Christina Grimmie was killed at Plaza Live in Orlando. After her performance, police say a man shot Grimmie at a meet and greet, killing her in front of her brother, Marcus Grimmie. Officers say Marcus tackled the shooter, and the man then killed himself. First responders took the singer to the hospital where she later died. You may remember Grimmie finished in third place during season 6 of The Voice, and she was discovered on YouTube.
Well, what if artificial intelligence could help cut down your drive home? A Central Florida planning agency is using AI to track traffic bottlenecks, study driver patterns, and try to find some ways to just keep those cars moving along. Your Orange County community correspondent, Amy Russo, shows us how that technology is being used on some of our busiest roads.
The software, which Metro Plan Orlando has actually been using for the past 5 years already, is called Streetlight Data. So it's used to pinpoint trouble spots across Central Florida. That includes right here where I'm standing at Maitland Avenue and US 1792, the corridor over here where thousands of drivers travel every day. A study was recently done at that corridor to identify solutions to get traffic flowing more smoothly, such as adjusting red light times depending on the time of day and changing traffic patterns. Streetlight uses data from phones, vehicles, and roadway sensors to map how traffic moves. That helps planners see where congestion builds, how drivers route through intersections, and what changes can improve safety and flow. The tool has been used throughout Central Florida, including to evaluate traffic volumes, speeds, and turning movements. And by tracking patterns over time, it can also show how travel behavior changes, which helps with long-range planning.
Is it narrowing the travel lanes or adding speed islands or speed bumps, changing the radius at an intersection, those kinds of things. But the data helps us analyze that and come up with solutions.
The contract costs about $200,000. Similar projects have been carried out in other cities across the U.S., with travel times reduced by up to 25% and idle times reduced by up to 40%. If approved, the contract extension would run through December. In Maitland, Amy Russo, News 6.
All right, tonight detectives are working to track down whoever made the call causing yesterday's bomb scare at Gatorland. We brought you this scene live as breaking news yesterday when that evacuation was first ordered. Now, deputies say a threat was called in, but when they searched the whole property, they found no explosives and the threat was not credible. Gatorland reopened this morning with normal summer hours. That marks the second threat targeting a Central Florida attraction in just days. On Sunday, the Central Florida Zoo in Sanford was also evacuated. Somebody claimed pipe bombs had been placed inside the park. Investigators later figured out that that threat was a hoax too. Now authorities are warning these types of calls can have major consequences. In Florida, making a false threat that triggers an emergency response can lead to felony charges, thousands of dollars in fines, and years in prison. If someone is hurt or killed during a swatting incident, the penalties become much more severe. Detectives have not said whether the two incidents are connected, but at this point, no arrests have been made in either of those cases.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics just released its new inflation report, and it shows Americans are spending more. The annual inflation rate climbed to more than 4% last month. Surging gas prices and energy costs are to blame. Now at 5, CBS's Bradley Blackburn has more on what it means for the economy and for the summer travel season.
Just as Americans get ready for vacation season, the price of flying is soaring. New inflation data show airfare is up more than 26% from a year ago.
The prices are going up, so we have to look for more feasible options a lot of the time.
Overall, the Consumer Price Index climbed 4.2% in May compared to the previous year. That's the highest inflation rate in more than 3 years, as the war with Iran continues to impact oil prices. Energy costs were up 3.9% in May, on top of big jumps the previous 2 months.
I don't even fill it up all the way anymore. Yeah, it's because prices are so expensive.
The combination of things that have occurred have really pushed prices higher, and that's bad news for consumers, right? So we know that tariffs were the first phase of it, but now the war in Iran is the next phase of it.
Food prices are still climbing modestly, with bigger sticker shock in some goods like beef, up almost 13% year over year.
All of the prices shock me, just that they seem to go up every single time I go to the grocery store.
Economists say one major reason consumers feel pinched is because earnings are not keeping pace with inflation.
Real hourly earnings are negative for the majority of American households. So people are losing purchasing power very readily. The gains that they're making in terms of wage increases, they're gone.
It puts pressure on the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates where they are or even consider an increase, which could rattle the stock market. The Fed is scheduled to meet next week. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Well, traffic is something we talk a lot here to make sure you stay safe on the road, but sometimes an avoidable accident has major impacts on people's lives.
Like this horrible story in Volusia County, a woman killed when deputies say a truck rammed through her toll booth on the beach and continued then onto the beach, a wreck that really never should have happened. But we wanted to look at the aftermath and how investigators make sure the person accused of the wreck faces the correct charges. That's why today on Trooper Steve's On Patrol, Steve sits down with an officer on St. Cloud PD's traffic homicide unit to look through the process.
Never went to THI school, which is traffic homicide, and I wanted to talk to somebody who's been through that. What is traffic homicide?
So traffic homicide is basically when an investigation of a serious bodily injury crash or a fatality.
Right.
We are specialized to come out and do that investigation more than the standard police officer, patrol officer that would investigate just a routine non-injury or even a minor injury crash. So when we take over a potential fatal or a fatal crash investigation, there are a lot of elements because you're trying to determine, one thing you're trying to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure you don't miss anything. So you're interviewing a lot more than just the people involved in the crash itself. There's a lot leading up to it, and especially if it's going to turn potentially criminal, you want to make sure that those charges, given the severity of it, are actually going to stick.
Nice. Head to clickorlando.com/onpatrol and find out more. See you guys.
Now you can hit the road with Trooper Steve weekdays at 2:30 in the afternoon and 8:30 at night on News 6 Plus and the News 6 app. Well, 10 years after the Pulse tragedy, questions still remain about the promised memorial and the millions of dollars raised to build it.
Especially on where all that money went after the One Pulse Foundation shut down.
If they had been focused simply on getting a memorial done, they probably could have got that done.
Coming up, the tax documents we uncovered and what happens next for the Pulse property.
A couple of thunderstorms out there, mainly into Polk County. We have a few more downpours starting to bubble up to the west of I-75. We'll track the rest of your evening and talk about higher storm chances over the next couple of days, coming up at about 5:47.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings.
Friday marks 10 years since the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub, and recently News 6 held a town hall meeting with local stakeholders to reflect on what's changed since the shooting. We asked our viewers to join the conversation, and several of you asked about the money raised by the defunct One Pulse Foundation. News 6 investigator Erica Berguglio looks into where that money went.
The One Pulse Foundation planned to build a permanent memorial here on Pulse nightclub property, as well as a museum along Cayley Street. But in 2023, the nonprofit dissolved.
What happened, in my opinion, is they got too grandiose in what they wanted to do with having a museum as well as a memorial. If they had been focused simply on getting a memorial done, they probably could have got that done.
The city of Orlando has taken over the project, buying the nightclub property for $2 million to build a permanent memorial. But what happened to the money One Pulse brought in? According to tax documents found on ProPublica's website, One Pulse generated more than $20 million over the years it was in existence. More than $11 million was spent to build a permanent museum and memorial. Orange County gave the One Pulse Foundation $3.5 million tourist tax development dollars to buy this property along Cayley Street for a museum. It also gave $3 million for design services. This property was given to the county. That design services money is gone. The foundation also received a nearly $400,000 grant from the state of Florida. That money was returned. According to this 2023 tax filing, all grants still held by One Pulse were returned following the dissolution. The organization owed more than $500,000, mostly a mortgage and unpaid bills. So One Pulse reported zero assets at year end.
Just as I moved on from the shooter, and he's nothing to me, I moved on from that organization. Somebody wants to go after them, have at it, but we're very focused on making sure that we continue to support the families and the survivors and get the memorial done.
The City of Orlando's permanent memorial is expected to be finished next year. Erica Berguglio, News 6.
News 6 asked the Florida Department of State if it investigated or audited the One Pulse Foundation.
The agency said it did not find any records related to that request. Like we mentioned, Friday marks 10 years since that tragedy. We have all our previous coverage on our website, clickorlando.com/pulse.
All right, I want to check in now with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. We had some pretty heavy downpours across a large area of Central Florida today. Still see quite a bit of red and green, though, on the radar.
Yeah, that's mainly going to be outside of our greater Central Florida area. This is mainly closer to Lakeland. This is going to continue to work its way down I-4 tonight. We have a few scattered showers left, much lighter than the last time we talked for us. Right along the Florida Turnpike in Osceola County. We'll take you closer back in toward Kenansville. And again, we have some of the light to moderate rain falling, no lightning associated with that. We'll zoom back out, and the one deal with this is why we were able to pick up so much rain. There's not a lot of wind in the mid to upper levels of our atmosphere, so these guys just fire up and then pretty much just sit here. They're not really moving today. So watching this kind of work their way back from Winter Haven, very heavy rain, lots of lightning around Haines City back to Davenport. These are sliding almost from west to east tonight again, just kind of meandering around there. That will eventually peter itself out over the next hour or so, again, just like what we had over Orange County if you're around the Orlando metro area or Winter Park early this afternoon. We'll take you back to I-75. This is where I'm watching for the next couple of hours now, pretty much from Ocala back down to Bellevue, the Villages, and Bushnell. It's going to be right in through here that we'll watch thunderstorms try to fire again with a slight push back to the east. So still not completely out of the woods for any kind of rain this evening from the Villages back to Claremont, Mineola. I think as far back to the Orange County line, that's how far we'll be watching for some storms to kind of push back. Future clouds and rain, I think, doing a pretty nice job tonight. But you see here within the next couple of hours, they're 7 to 8 o'clock, pretty much paralleling the Florida Turnpike here, blowing back to the east a little bit. So we'll be watching that closely and then just fizzling out because they kind of rain themselves out. Then we'll dry things out again. I think the morning should be dry. There's 2 to 3 o'clock on your Thursday afternoon, I should say. We'll be watching a few downpours again, just like today, get going after about lunchtime. We will see a couple of downpours work their way toward I-75, and then thunderstorms push towards I-4. That's going to be late tomorrow evening. That's going to be 8 to 10 o'clock. So some of those starting to linger. There's some of those darker clouds out over the Atlantic. Live look, Port Canaveral, Brevard County with our Launch Credit Union camera. Air temperatures back to the middle 80s. We'll see a mainly clear sky, at least closer to the coast. Tomorrow morning, we're starting things off in the low 70s in Oviedo, 74 in Wildwood. Now here's a look at tomorrow afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Same kind of deal as today. I think the rain starts a little bit later than what we had today. We had a few of those morning downpours sneak in. Rain chances go up to about 50% tomorrow. We're at 91 in Wedgefield, also 91 in Apopka, Leesburg, and Webster. We are back into the lower 90s as well tomorrow. Tropical update, there is an area of interest. We've been talking about this one for a couple of weeks, that there is a small opportunity. And there's the official highlight again, just a 10% shot. This one is staying in the Western Gulf or Bay of Campeche, but could become a short-fused system. Again, that chance is low, but don't be surprised if you do see a tropical depression or tropical storm named. Again, that's where it's going to be. No other areas to watch. Big time moisture surge, though, coming from the Yucatan back through regardless. So Texas, at the very least, likely going to get some heavier rain out of the deal. But again, that is not going to be coming in our direction. 60% chance for storms on Friday. We'll keep the elevated rain chances rolling right on through your weekend. Now here's a look at your forecast.
All right, Jonathan Kagas, thank you very much. Well, a fast-growing Orange County community may finally be getting some relief from packed classrooms, but it will put a price on your drive time.
Coming up, why developers say this new private school is the only way to ease the crowding and the one traffic change that you could see on the roads if it's built.
A plan to build a new school in a fast-growing part of Orange County appears to be moving forward. I'm News 6's Mark Lehman, and this empty field behind me could soon be home to an expansion of Windermere Preparatory School with the current campus at full capacity. This project is driven by demand, and there's some wondering what this will mean for the community.
All in favor? Aye.
Orange County's Development Review Committee recommending approval of plans to build a K-5 private school in West Orange's Hamlin community. The area off of New Independence Parkway is one of the fastest growing in the county.
It's been a lot of growth in a short period of time, and eventually they'll have the roads able to meet the capacity.
The concept is a two-story building able to accommodate up to 880 students. The layout includes sports fields and outdoor learning spaces as an expansion of Windermere Prep, which is about 5 miles away. Do you think something like this is needed for the area?
Absolutely, because there are a lot of people that aren't happy with the schools that their kids are in. So this way it's an option.
The new campus is also expected to bring an increase in traffic to an already busy area. The design, however, includes an on-site car line to avoid backups.
I have an elementary school up the block from my home, and you learn when to leave the house and when not to, but it's a necessary evil.
With the committee recommending approval, this proposal will next go before the Board of County Commissioners. That is expected to happen in August. With permitting, however, construction likely won't begin for several months. In Orange County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
Yeah, brand new at 6, a crazy story out of Flagler County tonight where a store owner is looking for some help. We'll tell you who deputies say he is using the store's address without the owner's permission and the shocking reason why.
A Winter Garden police sergeant went before a judge today after being accused of stalking. What police say they found.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 6.
And new at 6, a Flagler County store owner says he was shocked to learn 3 registered sex offenders had been using his county store address as their home.
So the sheriff's office confirms the men were camping at his property, but they say in this case that no laws had actually been broken. So we sent News 6's community correspondent Alex Cook to Bunnell to try to figure out all of this, how it happened. But before we get to that story, we have to talk about the crazy weather situation that we have seen outside.
It was raining sideways earlier today.
Yeah, it was wind, it was rain. There were some flooding concerns at times. Let's get you over to meteorologist Jonathan Kagas.
And I know a lot of you are probably wondering why we're saying that, because most of us have been dry this afternoon. There was kind of like one little area over Orange County that had the heaviest rain today. It was mainly widely scattered across the big portion of Central Florida. We do have some rocking thunderstorms closer to Lakeland, moving into Davenport now. We'll take you further to the west, closer to us along I-75 to Nellen. We have a downpour nearby. This is going to be the area to watch if we're going to pop more thunderstorms over the next couple of hours, if we're going to be hanging out closer to I-75 with a very slow storm motion kind of pushing back from west to east. So I think we're, again, mainly dry for the rest of the evening along I-95. Really East Orange County, Seminole County, we should be good all the way through Volusia and Flagler. I'm expecting things to be dry for the remainder of the evening. That'll change again a little bit as we get into the day tomorrow. Again, there's the real heavy stuff that we had going on earlier this afternoon, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain right around the Orlando metro area, back to Winter Park, closer to Maitland as well, inch and a half estimated by radar in parts of East Orange County as well. The cell just wouldn't move, and that's what we are, again, seeing across most of Central Florida right now, where we do have the thunderstorms, and again, they are few and far between in central Polk County, right around just south of Davenport to east of us in Lakeland. Again, that area to watch, I-75 for more development. We're going to talk much more about the timeline for another round of storms. Should be a little bit later in the day tomorrow than what we had today. We'll take you through that hour by hour coming up at about 6:17.
You can see the back of Cody's Corner Country Store in Bunnell right behind me, and here just a few feet away, this path into the woods is where the Flagler County Sheriff's Office says they cleaned out a homeless camp after the owner of the store reported multiple registered sex offenders were staying here at his address. Of course, registered sex offenders need to report their address so that probation officers can come by and check up on them. But the store owner here says he never gave anyone his permission.
It's a small little general convenience store out in the middle of the county.
Ed Corcoran owns Cody's Corner. He says it's the kind of place where everyone knows each other. But earlier this year, he says he started noticing more homeless people around the property. A few weeks ago, he told a homeless man to leave and was hit with a big surprise. Corcoran says the man had paperwork.
We caught one that pulled out his paperwork, his court-ordered paperwork to stay here.
Flagler deputies responded and determined 3 registered sex offenders had been using the store's address without Corcoran's permission. The sheriff's office says the men have since been trespassed from the property and moved somewhere else approved by their probation officers. They said no sex offender registration laws had been violated. Corcoran took this picture of the camp supplies after they were gathered up. The big question now is how these registered sex offenders were able to stay on this property where the owner didn't want them. I asked the sheriff's office about this. They said that they did check with the sex offenders and that they were staying at their registered address, but it's not their responsibility to check with the owner to see if they have permission.
How do we prevent this from happening somewhere else? How do I know this isn't going to happen another mile down the road or to any other business in Flagler County?
The sheriff's office says they'll be back out here to make sure no one is living behind Cody's Corner. And the store owner here says the hardest part of this whole thing has been getting his address off the sex offender's website. He says it's now flagged that no one can use his address again. In Bunnell, Alex Cook, News 6.
Well, the Winter Garden police sergeant facing some pretty serious charges tonight after investigators say he placed a tracking device on a woman's car and accessed her personal information through a state database. Your West Orange County community correspondent, Talisa Hampton, has more on the allegations and how police say that device was eventually found.
What started out as a claim of a prank quickly turned into a criminal investigation after a woman said that she found a tracking device on her car believed to be placed by a Winter Garden police sergeant.
Tell me your name, please.
Brian Stubbs.
Standing before a judge, Winter Garden Police Sergeant Brian Stubbs is facing stalking charges, accused of placing a tracking device on a woman's car.
Where probable cause was found.
According to an arrest report obtained by News 6, a witness saw Stubbs appear to tamper with the woman's car outside an Apopka bowling alley in April. At the time, Stubbs told officers he was playing a prank on a friend. The woman told investigators the two had been friends for years and that Stubbs had expressed romantic interest in her, which she did not return. Days later, she received alerts on her phone that a tracking device was moving with her. Ocoee police warned not to ignore the alerts.
If you do get an alert of an AirTag on your car, don't panic. Drive to your destination, wherever you're going. Call us if you need us. We'll come out. We'll look at the situation. We'll gather all the relevant information, and we'll go from there.
Searches were done on the victim's car by both Apopka and Ocoee police, but nothing was found.
Still can't find anything. Maybe we can go to a mechanic. We've done that in the past.
In this case, that is where a mechanic discovered a magnetic tracking device hidden under the car. The shop told me it was attached to the lower control arm and would have been difficult to find. Investigators say Stubbs later changed his story, still denying that he actually put the device on the car, but saying he attempted to do so out of jealousy. Detectives also found he accessed the woman's personal information 26 times through a state database. That led to charges of stalking, illegally using a tracking device, and fraud and abuse of a computer access. Stubbs remaining expressionless as a judge set his bond at more than $17,000. Winter Garden police say he has been placed on administrative leave. Reporting for News 6, I'm Talisa Hampton.
This case is putting a spotlight on Florida's tougher laws targeting the misuse of AirTags and other tracking devices. A law that took effect last October increased penalties for people who use Bluetooth trackers or to stalk or follow someone while committing serious crimes. That includes offenses like kidnapping, robbery, sexual battery, and aggravated assault. Lawmakers say the goal is to crack down before cases turn violent. Under the law, using a tracking device during a serious felony can carry a penalty of up to 15 years in prison. Even basic stalking with the tracker is now a felony in Florida.
Developing tonight now in Seminole County, a 15-year-old once again facing legal troubles, this time stemming from child sex abuse material on her phone. So the Florida Department of Law Enforcement says it arrested Isabel Valdez on 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. Now, you might remember that face. Agents say they started their investigation in February after the Altamont Springs police reported a digital file found on the 15-year-old's cell phone showing that abuse. The FDLE says it found several video files showing that abuse of children, some as young as 3 years old. Now, this all is 1 month after Valdez was arrested for an alleged murder plot. You might remember her from this video. She's currently in the Seminole County Jail after investigators say she and a classmate were plotting to stab another student, one at Lake Brantley High School.
Also developing tonight, some people in the Timber Springs neighborhood in Orange County are calling for more security. One man says a bullet blasted through his home late last night. Some telling News 6 they heard the sound of gunshot around 11 o'clock. The homeowner says he found the bullet after it broke through his kitchen window. He says his wife was just in the kitchen moments before that happened. While the homeowner didn't want to speak on camera, a neighbor told your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahal this has rattled the neighborhood.
Casings where you see those 3 palm trees in that area, there's no lighting in that area. So one of the things I was telling is that we need more police presence.
We have reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office and we're told the case is under investigation. News 6 also reached out to the Neighbors Homeowners Association to see what steps could be taken. Once we hear back, we'll let you know. In Volusia County, a woman is pushing the state to make changes after being wrongfully arrested by troopers in a deadly hit-and-run crash.
Lindsay Isaacs was in jail for nearly 2 weeks for a crime she did not commit. Troopers accused Isaacs of driving the Dodge Durango that caused a crash on I-4 near DeBary back in October. Now, 3 people were killed in this. Isaacs spent 13 days in jail and 2 weeks out on bond before FHP dropped her charges. Troopers later arrested the woman they say was actually behind the wheel of a different Dodge Durango. Elisa Montalvo, your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, spoke to Isaacs today. She says she wants to fight for anyone wrongfully arrested going forward.
My mugshot is everywhere for the rest of my life. Anytime someone searches my name, it will come up. There was maggots and ants in the food every time the tray came. There was something living in that tray every single day.
Isaacs also filed a lawsuit this week. She claims troopers, quote, fabricated evidence of vehicle damage, swore to false statements in an affidavit for an arrest warrant, and at a bond pretrial detention hearing as well. The State Highway Patrol tells News 6 that the department is reviewing all aspects of this case.
Despite a drastic reduction in bus routes, the cost of Lynx is going up in Seminole County next year. A drop in ridership, underperforming routes, and concerns about growing cost in the future drove Seminole County to launch its own Service Scout, and now skyrocketing transit costs and shifting funding formulas have the county pushing back against Lynx even more. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver explains.
The Lynx model is a broken model. That's my opinion.
I was a supporter of yours. I am not in that position anymore.
Commissioners in Seminole County didn't hold back when presented with Lynx's $11.7 million budget request. The bottom line, the overall cost to the county is going up. $119,000 in 2027, even though most bus routes have been cut. By Lynx's numbers, the majority of the money they need next year will be spent on Access Lynx, the paratransit service for riders with disabilities or special needs.
Total operating costs increased $2.58 million in fiscal year 2019 to $6.71 million in fiscal year 2026. That's an increase of over 160% in 7 years.
Commissioner Jay Zembauer pushed back on the paratransit cost in particular.
Can you explain why are we rapidly going in that direction when Seminole County's ridership is actually going down on the paratransit side?
Commissioner, I will do my best to answer. I don't have those numbers specifically in front of me.
Lynx's CEO does say the cost increase is tied to a change in Lynx's funding model, which is tied to a regional partnership.
We are this piece that is attached to that model, and maybe we've outgrown it.
Chairman Andrea Herr says the shift is a reaction to Seminole's switch to Scout. Does this have you question Seminole County's role and partnership with Lynx overall moving forward?
Everything makes me question everything. I'm one commissioner speaking not on behalf of the board, but for myself, in that if we can't have influence over the cost that our citizens pay for that model, I do have questions.
Lynx logged 2.8 million passenger trips in Seminole County last year.
We use it about every day.
Bernard Arrington's trip Wednesday was to a doctor's appointment. What would you do if Lynx wasn't in Seminole County?
It would be very hard to get around.
We reached out to Lynx directly, and they tell us they do understand Seminole County's concerns. They point out that Lynx's board unanimously approved the change to the funding model, and they did so to better distribute the costs. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Well, a major milestone reached for some neighbors in Orange County.
A project to help neighbors in Pine Hills is now completed. Coming up, how road work helped save dozens of homeowners from costly replacements for their septic tanks. And
everybody on board is code 4. We have 2 souls on board and no injuries.
After being stranded for more than 24 hours, we're getting a first-hand look at the rescue of 2 boaters in Volusia County yesterday.
I'm Matt Gutman. Here's what we're working on for tonight's CBS Evening News. Developments tonight in the Middle East and here at home. After predicting peace was near, today President Trump is threatening another round of retaliatory strikes against Iran. Plus, what the president has to say about rising inflation. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
For years now, drivers in Pine Hills had to navigate construction cones, lane shifts, and traffic delays along one of the community's busiest roads. Now, a major milestone has been reached.
Orange County has completed a project that not only improved the road, but also saved dozens of homeowners from some costly septic tank replacements. News 6's Jarrell Baker shows us the transformation and what's left.
Business and homeowners along Pine Hills Road would have had to spend thousands of dollars to replace their aging septic tanks. But Orange County converted 95 of those properties to sewer at no cost to property owners.
Compare the cost of doing that versus the contribution to our septic to sewer program, they're much better off. The contribution is lower than the actual cost to replace their septic tanks, and the maintenance is about the same.
Andres Sancido with Orange County Utilities says that many of the septic tanks in the area were decades old and approaching failure. Replacing just one could have cost homeowners around $26,000. But now they don't have to worry about raw sewage leaking into their yards. If you take a drive down Pine Hills Road, you'll see something many drivers thought would take forever to happen: the end of years of construction.
You do still see some of those cones, but it's different compared to all the machines and those concrete barriers you saw all along the roadway, even last year.
For years, drivers navigating Pine Hills Road dealt with delays, lane shifts, and construction zones. Now many are finally seeing the payoff.
There's a planning phase that took place, and then there was the growing pains where the project actually began to shape up, and now we're at the point where it is completed.
In Pine Hills, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
New at 6, we're seeing some new body cam video from the Coast Guard during the rescue of two boaters yesterday. These lifelong friends, Danny and Pat, were stranded off the coast of Ormond Beach for more than 24 hours after their boat lost power. The boaters say while there were some distressing moments there, they were hopeful that they would be found. They felt pretty good about it. They told News 6's Mike Valenti while they had enough food and a cabin on the boat to sleep, there still were some stressful moments as agencies were looking for them.
Thanks for all the people who were concerned, and quite a few people were involved, and it was kind of beyond both our expectations. Coast Guard came out. They were nice enough to actually, I wasn't even expecting that. You guys need any water, you need any food or anything.
He had one Gatorade left.
Oh, wow.
Both men are home resting now, but they say they're not deterred from fishing again. They're hoping to get back on the water once they fix that boat.
And those are the guys you really want to be out with if you have any sort of issue, because they're experienced, they're calm, cool, collected.
They know what they're doing.
They MacGyvered everything.
They drifted close enough to use their cell phones.
It's perfect.
Today would have been a dicey day for some folks. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joining us now, just here at the station, and I know it wasn't everywhere, but there was some pretty heavy rain for a bit.
Yeah, we had some heavy rain early in the morning along the coast, streaming onshore. So it was kind of a where you were at location-based forecast for today for sure. We're talking about that last night, that earlier in the day that we would have those downpours closer to the coast. We had some push in earlier through the afternoon in parts of northern Orange County, closer to Apopka. We had a few downpours around. Right now, our lone downpour hanging around Denellen. We have our secondary thunderstorm. This one more than a downpour that we've been watching closely in central Lake County. So if you have to take a trip down I-4, maybe to Tampa, maybe to Lakeland or Haines City, just a small portion of that thunderstorm stretching over I-4. The bulk of this, though, hanging to the southwest of Haines City, over Winter Haven right now, over Auburndale, Eagle Lake. Lots of heavy rain, big time thunderstorm overhead. Otherwise, though, in the greater Central Florida area, we are nice and dry, again, with that lone exception of the downpour. This is the area that we're going to watch to see if we get any more development to push back through. But so far, nothing has been able to be sustained. So there's 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. I think Future Radar doing a pretty nice job. It has the downpour about 50 miles to the southwest to where it actually is. Some of that trying to push back up to the northeast a little bit. That's 8 to 9 o'clock. Again, closing in on the Florida Turnpike, that yellow line right there, and then fizzling out. There's really not a lot of wind to push these things around. The steering flow very, very light. There's 5 to 8 o'clock or 5 to 6 o'clock on your Thursday morning. We start things off drier than where we did today. And again, most people were dry this morning, but we were talking about those chances for some of the stream on shore this morning. There's 2 to 3 o'clock tomorrow, right along I-95 again, and then right along I-75 again. That's both sea breezes lighting up with the heating of the day, and they try to push inland. 5 to 6 o'clock dinner time, commute time home tomorrow. Could have some stronger thunderstorms right along the I-4 corridor. Some hang out closer to Osceola and parts of southwest Orange into Southern Lake tomorrow. Here's a live look outside downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. 84 degrees under a mainly cloudy sky, but that rain is gone. Decent downpour to say the least. Had some ponding on the roads for sure, with that one closer to the Orlando metro area. We're back to the southeast. The winds are at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. 88 right now in Titusville. Good evening in Melbourne. We're at 83. Palm Coast to Bunnell, we are into the mid-80s tonight. 82 in Wildwood, still a toasty 90-degree reading for us in the Villages. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
I think we start things off dry tomorrow. Air temperatures back in the low to mid 70s. Highs tomorrow in the low to mid 90s. Rain chances at 50%. I think they get a later start time than what we had today. We're at 90 in Titusville, 92 in Bushnell, back to 93 degrees in Groveland. Tropical update again. There's a area to watch. Not for us. This is towards the Bay of Campeche, Southwest Gulf. Hurricane Center only giving it a 10% shot. Don't be surprised if we get a depression or an name out of it, but it is a very low chance, and it is not coming here. 60% chance for Friday for storms. We're keeping that elevated shot over the weekend with high temperatures in the low to mid 90s. We'll be right back.
Here is a look at your top stories tonight. 15-year-old Isabel Valdez, the Lake Brantley teen in jail accused of being part of a murder plot of another student, is facing new charges in a separate case tonight. She is now being charged with 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. FDLE says it found several video files on the teen's phone showing the sexual abuse of children, with some of those victims being as young as 3 years old.
After an hour delay, play is underway on the pitch at Inter & Co Stadium. Weather pushing the 4 o'clock start back to 5 in this friendly match. Fans in attendance at one point were told to evacuate the stands to the concourses to avoid some lightning strikes. England got on the board in the first 10 minutes of the match. Right now the score is 1-0 England. In the second half, we'll have highlights of that match coming up on News 6 at 11 o'clock. We also have more news coming up at 9 on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
Until then, have a good night.